Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has pure blood of devil part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The underworld was very different from what most humans believed. When they heard the word underworld, many would instantly think of a dark place where fire and lava blazing everywhere and the vilest creatures reside in. Therefore, many would be surprised when the underworld was nothing like the description. Instead was very similar to Earth with exceptions of few things. In here, the skies are purple, the clouds are dark, and the lands are more spacious since there are no oceans. But humans were correct in one thinking. The underworld was homes to devils, a dark race that was greatly misunderstood and believed to be nothing more than evil and soul-eating beings. This was just another misconception, since devils were like regular humans with bat wings and have different kinds of abilities that could be used for either good or bad things. Devils have enhanced physical abilities and live for thousands of years and retain a youthful appearance. This made them near-perfect beings. The devil's most notable families are the pure blood families of 72 pillars, as they were the owners of most lands in the underworld. The devil's greatest enemies were angels of heaven and fallen angels, angels that fallen from grace of the biblical God, which created a new race of supernatural beings. These three races were known as the three factions. They warred against one another under the leadership of the biblical God, the four great Satans and Gremory, the organization of fallen angels led by Azazel, which later known as the Great War. The war eventually ended, but not without heavy casualties. Thousands of angels and devils died along with only hundreds of fallen angels. This left the three factions in heavy state of conflict. So while there was no peace between them, outright battles did not occur either. Many years later, and after the death of the four Satans, the underworld fell into civil war, with the families of the Satans wanting to continue the Great War, while on the other side were the remaining families of the 72 pillars that had been reduced to now just 34 and wanting peace. The conflict lasted almost a decade until four devils from different families stood together and eventually pushed back the old Satan faction and secured the war in favor of anti-Satan faction. They were Surzix Gremory, Ajuka Astaroth, Falbium Glagia Labelas, and Seraphal Citri. Though young, each of them boasted incredible raw power that could decimate an entire country within seconds. Each of them has their own skill sets and specialties. Individually they were powerful, but together, they were on another level. The civil war taken its toll on each side, but eventually, the anti-Satan faction prevailed with the deaths of most of their leaders. With this, old faction retreated and hid while the underworld quickly changed under the new management. The four heroes of the civil war took up the mantle of the old Satans and became the new ones. Being the leader of the four, Surzix took the Lucifer mantle, while Ajuka took Beelzebub, Falbium took Asmodeus, and finally Seraphal taking Leviathan. Then sometime later, Ajuka created the evil peace system, his solution on underworld's declining population. With few pure bloods left and more than half of the 72 pillars were now extinct, they need to repopulate the underworld. And it led to the evil peace system, a system that allows humans and other creatures to be reincarnated into devils. Many of the remaining pure bloods have some feelings about this because they believe that a devil whose blood that wasn't pure weren't true devils. But as the time passed by, they learned to accept the fact that they need to repopulate their kind. And as the years goes, the underworld was in peace and being rebuilt slowly. 200 years later. Lilith, the current capital of Satan territory, was one of the most active cities in the underworld. Like the human world, it resembled a normal place, filled with houses, parks, establishments, and inhabitants. But for the particular house, this was a special day. A day would mark the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Kushi-chan, look at him. He's beautiful, isn't it? A man in his 30s wearing a dark blue long sleeves and a pair of black pants asked as he held the small baby boy in his arms. He stood at an impressive height of 6 feet 3 inches and has a lean but muscular build. He has shoulder-length golden blonde hair that was arranged in a mess of spikes pointing in all directions. He has jaw-length bangs framing either side of his face and has cerulean blue eyes. This man is none other than Minato Pimon, the current lord of the House of Pimon, one of the remaining 34 pillars. The child in his arms was beautiful in its own right. He had a naturally tan skin like he was born under the sun. And he has 3 whisker-like birthmarks on each cheeks. He has small mop golden blonde hair just like his father. As he opened his eyes, you can see that he also inherited his father's bright cerulean blue eyes. The mother of this boy was currently lying on the bed, still weak from the childbirth. Her skin was pale as the ghost and sweating heavily. Her breasts were short and weak. She had a beautiful long red hair that spreads in the bed. She has a fair skin, round-shaped face, and has violet eyes, but now were dull because of her condition. This woman is none other than Kushina Pimon, formerly known as Uzumaki Kushina, Minato's queen in his peerage and his wife. Her current condition was the result of her illness and childbirth. Few months ago, when the couple learned that they were expecting a child, they had an argument of whether to abort the child because due to her illness, her body can't take the strain of childbirth or to give birth of the said child but at the cost of her life. After long heated talks, Kushina convinced Minato not to abort the child since she's dying because of her illness anyway. She repeatedly said to him that I'll die later anyway, the only difference is when will it be. So it's better this way, even when I'm gone, there will be a piece of me that will remain in this world and that will be our child. Minato was convinced by her wife about her and their child's fate. He was prepared for the worst to happen to his newly completed family. Kushina even joked that, now you have an heir to the house that we've been waiting for so long. Now back to the current situation. Hey Minato-kun, stop hogging our son. Let me hold him. Kushina said weakly as she watched her husband interact with their son. That seemed to have snapped him out from his own world. Turning towards his wife, he carefully handed their son as he muttered an apology. It's okay. I know that you want to hold him as much as I do. Kushina replied softly as he holds their son lovingly in her arms. Oh, look at him. He looks just like you. He'll gonna be a lady killer just like you when he'll grow up. I wish I'll be there for him so that I could beat up his fangirls with a stick. She muttered sadly as she's now crying softly. The mere thought that she will not be there for his son hurt her. On the other hand, Minato was trying his best as tears were trying to escape in his eyes. He looked at his family, he kept wondering why it had to be like this. His son was born healthy. But his wife's condition was getting worse. He sat at the side of the bed, put his hand on Kushina's shoulder as he looked at her and their son tearfully. Are you alright, Minato-kun? Kushina asked as she slowly turned her gaze away from their son towards her silent husband. Yes, I'm fine. It's just that, now that we're a complete family, this happens. Minato muttered sadly. Now, he's crying while holding his wife's shoulder firmly and caressed Kushina's cheeks. I know, but I'm happy that I've seen our son even it's just few minutes. She replied with a teary sad smile. They knew this will happen but it hurts them both that their son will grow up without his mother. So, what are we going to name him? Minato asked softly. Kushina hummed softly as she looked to their son before her eyes lit up. I know, he'll be named Naruto. She said softly as she waited for his reply. She knew that she only had a little time in this world because her body was weakening. Minato looked at his wife as he chuckled a bit. Fish cake? Kushi-chan, I know that you love ramen but are you seriously gonna name our son after a ramen topping? Hey! It's not fish cake you know. It's maelstrom. Kushina huffed weakly. She's starting to feel that her life was slowly slipping away. Minato looked at his wife worriedly as he saw that her condition was just getting worse. As he thought a bit about their son's name, his lips twitched a bit before turned into a smile. Maelstrom, huh? It suits for a strong boy. Naruto Pimon. I like it. Kushina smiled as she watched their son in her arms. As if knowing that about her mother's situation and they were talking about him, he opened his eyes and scanned the room. As his eyes landed on his mother, he started to squirm and cry as if he wanted to stay close to his mother as possible. The couple watched their son for a few seconds before started crying too. I guess he knows that you're leaving him. He wanted you to hold him close with your remaining time. Minato smiled sadly as he watched his wife hold their son more closely and humming a lullaby. Knowing that her mother was close, Naruto stopped crying and now asleep. After a few minutes, Kushina started coughing. Her breath became more shallow and weak. Seeing this, Minato stayed on her side comforting her until her last moments. Hey Minato-kun, can you promise me something? Kushina muttered weakly as she caressed Naruto's face. She knew that her heart will stop beating at any moment. Knowing this, she quickly thought about the things she wanted to say to his husband. What is it, Kushi-chan? Her husband whispered softly as he doesn't want Naruto to be waken up. He knew that Kushina's time was near. He didn't want to add strain on her body any more than this. I want you to promise me that you'll love our son unconditionally. I will not be there for him, so please fill in my part. Raise him to be a respectable and humble man. And give him the notes that I wrote about my rune magic as it's the only thing that I can give to help him in his struggles. Teach him that power is not everything. And lastly, tell him that I didn't regret giving birth to him. I love you both, always remember that. As she finished saying what she wanted, her heartbeat and breathing slowed until it finally stopped. After he heard her last words, he looked at her wife. Still holding Naruto lovingly with a peaceful smile in her face. He couldn't help to smile as he saw Kushina's satisfied and happy face. He kept his smile until he couldn't hold his feelings back anymore. Feelings broke like a dam and cried silently on her side, mourning that the love of her life was gone. But it was interrupted by his son's cries. As he moved close to him, Naruto stopped crying and stared at his father's eyes. After a few seconds, he broke into a fit of giggles and started clapping his small hands. Seeing this, Minato smiled as he thought that his son was cheering him up and didn't want him to wallow himself in sorrow. He scooped and held him lovingly as he looked at his late wife. "That's right, you didn't want to see me like this. Don't worry, I'll fulfill my promise and role as a father. I love you, Kushina, and always will. May your soul rest in peace." Minato muttered softly as he continued to look at Kushina's peaceful expression. At that moment, Minato made an oath to himself. From this day, he would make sure that Naruto would be happy and safe. Knowing that he'll grow up without a mother, he would raise him with as much love as he could. After all, nothing else in this world is greater than an unconditional love of a parent. 8 years later. For Minato Pimon, the last 8 years were some of the happiest and troublesome years of his life. And the reason for it was Naruto. He really looked like him with his eyes and hair. The only difference between the two of them was the shape of both her eyes and face, which he inherited from Kushina. But the most prominent features of his son was the 3 thin lines on each cheeks that resembled an animal whiskers. Just like any other kids, he was a ball of energy. He got along with almost everyone he met, especially his peerage and the servants of the house. They loved his bright and friendly personality. When Naruto was 5 years old, he decided to tell Naruto about his mother. He showed him Kushina's photos while telling him all about his mother and her illness, her last moments, and her last words. After he told his story, Naruto literally clung to him and cried. He was happy and sad at the same time. He was happy because he was wanted and at the same time, sad that her mother was gone. A week after that event, Naruto begged him to teach him how to harness and control his demonic magic. At first, he was worried not because Naruto was still young to start training his demonic magic, but Naruto was grinning like a madman. When he asked what was the problem, Naruto simply said, "Ha! I'm one step closer to my dream. Better watch out, Dad, I'll gonna surpass you and make Mom proud." Well, after that episode, Minato started to train him. The Pimon clan was known for their magical abilities related to earth, wind, and water. Because of it, they can conjure sandstorms, rainstorms, and tornadoes depending on the level of their demonic energy. But he was baffled when he learned that Naruto had slightly different magical abilities. Instead of Pimon's known 3 elements, he had wind and a lightning affinity. His aptitude on lightning was so high that instead of bluish-white, his lightning was colored black. After some research and studies, he concluded that Naruto's magical abilities were an anomaly in their clan. He also found out the reason why his lightning was colored black. It was because Naruto's demonic power was much more concentrated in conjuring it. Naruto, after learning about his magical abilities were different from his father, sunk into depression. But Minato cheered him up by telling him that his own magical abilities was greater than his if properly trained and utilized. He also added that he can conjure more destructive storms by using his wind and lightning. After hearing his father's words, Naruto's sulking ended immediately. So his training was consisted of controlling his demonic magic and learning hand-to-hand combat. He also started studying his mother's rune magic. Minato was impressed on Naruto's progress. He absorbed everything he taught to him like a sponge. But his progress in rune magic was a little slow. Not that he can blame him though, since he only had his mom's notes to rely on and no one can teach him. As the years passed by, his control with his affinities improved greatly, his hand-to-hand combat and rune magic were on acceptable levels. Now back to the present time. Currently, Minato was relaxing in their garden's gazebo as he watched Naruto trains his demonic magic. He couldn't help but to smile at his son's determination that he definitely inherited from his mother. As he checked the time, he remembered that they had an appointment. Well, rather than an appointment, it's just a visit to his friend's house. "Naruto! It's already time. Fix yourself up, we're leaving in 10 minutes. Minato shouted to his son. "What? It's already time to go. Can we do it tomorrow? I'm just getting started here." Naruto shouted back at his father while wiping the sweat on his forehead. "Yes, it's time. Stop whining, you can finish what you're doing when we get back," Minato replied with a stern expression. He knew that if he didn't show how serious he was, Naruto will just prolong the conversation until they'll forget about the appointment. "Fine if you say so," Naruto mumbled while his shoulders dropped in defeat. Minato sighed in relief that his son relented. Naruto didn't have a friend on his age group. Sure, he's friendly towards his father's peerage and servants, but he never goes out and play with his peers. He always stayed in their estate, trained and studied anything he found in the family's library. Sometimes he wondered if Naruto is growing up too fast for his age. Sighing again, he shook his head to forget his thoughts. Some time later. Currently, the father and son were riding a carriage. In Naruto's opinion, This kind of transportation was slow and only for princesses and such. But his father told him that it was their customs since the old days. Naruto just stopped whining about it and decided to ask his father about their destination. So, where are we going, Dad? Is it some kind of super cool place with awesome people? Naruto asked excitedly at his father sitting beside him. We're going to my old friend's place. I don't know if you find it super cool as you say. But you're right about the awesome people part. Minato replied with a smile. Old friend? Is your friend a he or a she? Who are these awesome people? Naruto immediately replied as he looked his father with anticipation and excitement written in his face. It'll be a surprise, oh, you have to wait. Don't worry, we're already here. Minato said to his son as the carriage slowed down and stopped. The two of them disembarked and walked up on the front gates of Gremory household. Naruto stared at the castle with awe. The size and beauty of it was impressive. The guards at the gate called an escort for them. They all proceed down the hallway and into the dining room. On arrival, the escort opened the door and ushered them in. Minato being first to enter, followed by Naruto. Naruto, on the other hand, looked at the occupants of the room. There was a beautiful woman with brown long hair that reached her shoulder blades. She wore a cream-colored dress that reached just above her ankles. She must be Lady Gremory. The one next to him was a middle-aged looking man with crimson hair and goatee. He wore a stylish black tuxedo with matching black shoes. And this must be Lord Gremory. On the opposite side of Lord Gremory was another man who was handsome and had an appearance of a 20-year-old who also had crimson hair. Wow! I get to meet the Crimson Satan, Sir's Lucifer. I only saw him on the news, but now, he's right in front of me, he cried with excitement in his mind. Next to him was another beautiful woman with a silver hair and matching eyes. She is wearing a blue and white French-made outfit with long sleeves and a white-made headband over her head, and this must be Graphia Lucifige, Lucifer-sama's queen and known as the strongest queen. I heard that she's always with Lucifer-sama. What surprised him the most was that another person that was there looked to be the same age as him. Like most people there, she had crimson hair that reached her shoulder blades and wore the same cream-colored dress like Lady Gremory. Judging from her appearance, she must be Lady Gremory's daughter. She must be the heiress of Gremory household. As they walked near the room, Lord Gremory stepped forward and greeted the father/son duo. Greetings, Lord Pimon. I hope you had a safe trip coming here? Greetings to you as well, Lord Gremory. And yes, the trip was a pleasant one. Minato replied with a smile and reached out to shake his hand. Minato looked over at Sir's and greeted him as well. It's an honor as always, Lucifer-sama. Hey, enough with that Lucifer-sama stuff, I'm tired of hearing it. Call me by my name like you used to. Sir's replied with a friendly smile. Minato just chuckled at Sir's words. Being one of the rulers of the underworld was stressful. Naruto, on the other hand, was utterly shocked. His father was a close friend with Sir's Lucifer? He didn't hear anything about this. He looked at his father, who clearly was amused at his expression. Hey Minato, who is this young man? I don't think we've met him before. Sir's asked as he looked down at Naruto, who was glaring at Minato. With a gentle push from Minato, Naruto was brought back to the reality and noticed everyone was staring at him. Realizing this great opportunity for a good impression, he needed an introduction befitting a high-class devil. So he lifted his hand in a lazy wave. He said, Yo, my name is Naruto Pimon, heir of the Pimon clan. How are ya? Oh, so this is Kushina and your son? He looks just like you but acts like her. I bet he'll be quite popular with the ladies when he grows up. Lady Gremory stated with a smile. Well, anyway, seeing that you introduced your son, I would like to introduce my daughter. Rias-chan, if you please. Lord Gremory said while looking at the small red-haired girl who stepped forward. Hello, my name is Rias Gremory, the heiress of the Gremory clan. The now named Rias said with a bow. Rias-chan, why don't you show Naruto around and play while we grown-ups talk? Lady Gremory suggested. Rias blinked at her mother before her face brightened up. It looks like she would get a new friend today. She skipped over to Naruto and dragged him out of the room. Come on, Naruto. I have bunch of toys we can play in my room. But first, I'll give you a tour in the estate, she said happily. The only friend that was on her age group was Sona, the Citri heiress. While she enjoyed spending time with her when she visited, but sometimes, she's a bit too serious. Well, see you later, Dad, Naruto said to Minato, who was chuckling at him for being dragged by a girl. TCH, as if you didn't experience being dragged by a redhead girl, Dad. I saw a photo of you that being dragged by Mom. Seeing the two children was out, Minato turned his gaze to the occupants on the room. Now that they're gone, let's get down to business, he said. Enthusiasm doesn't do this girl justice. Rias been dragging Naruto around the Gremory estate since they left. Knowing that he can't escape her firm grasp, he decided to start a conversation. So you're the heiress of the Gremory clan? Naruto asked as he let himself being dragged by Rias. Yup. When Tusan and Ka-san are done leading the clan, it'll be my turn, Rias replied with a big smile on her face, then looked at Naruto. What about you? From what you said earlier, you're the heir of the Pimon clan. Yup. When Dad retires, I'll be the one to take his place, Naruto replied with enthusiasm. When they got to a long hallway which he presumed lead to her room, she finally let him go. Walking down the hall, she loudly announced, "And this is my room." Naruto gazed at the room and came face to face with something he didn't expect to see in there. Anime. And lots of it. The walls of her room were covered with different anime posters, plushies of main characters scattered all around the room, and even piles of CDs and DVDs in the corner. So what do you think? Rias asked, seeing Naruto's surprised look. She stared at him and waiting for her answer. Hearing her question, Naruto said the first and only word that came to his mind. Otaku. It happened so quick that he thought Rias had some kind of an instant teleportation technique. One moment she was standing next to him, but now, she was at her bed hiding in the covers while curling into a ball. I'm sorry, you probably think I'm weird, don't you? Rias muttered under her covers. Why are you sorry? And more importantly, why did you think that I thought of you as a weird person? Naruto asked in confusion. You're probably not into this stuff, but I was so excited about making a new friend and I forgot about it, she mumbled. Naruto, being a nice guy he is, decided that cheering her up is the best thing. Well, I admit that I was surprised at first. Rias raised her head from the covers and stared at him. I've never met an otaku before and haven't got into anime. What? Only to be interrupted by Rias' loud shout. I've never watched anime before. All I did was training and studying, he answered unsurely. Well, it was the truth though. All of the time, he trained and studied since he didn't want to go outside of their estate. In fact, Rias was the first person he met with the same age as him. Rias stared at him with disbelief. She could tell Naruto was at her age, but he never watched an anime. Blasphemous. He said that all he did was training and studying. Just thinking about it makes her wonder what he does for fun. Well, if he never watched anime before, she could always fix that. Getting out from the covers, she skipped to Naruto and dragged him towards the large television and put a CD into the player. Come on. We will watch one now, Rias said while motioning him to sit down next to her. Naruto sat down and looked interested. The anime she chose was about ninjas and their villages. They spent the rest of the day watching the show. On that day, Naruto Paimon made his first friend. 4 years later. It was late in the afternoon, and a 12-year-old Naruto was walking down the halls of Paimon's estate. He now stood at the impressive height of 5 feet 2 inches. His golden blonde hair was now a bit longer, with 2 bangs framing his face, and had a lean, muscular body due to his training. While the baby fat of his face was gone, his 3 faint whisker marks were still there. It's been 4 years since Naruto met Rias. Many things happened and changed during those years. He made some new friends and learned some interesting facts. His control on his magical abilities improved, his rune magic was on adequate level and also starting to create his own techniques. He received his own evil pieces from his father when he was 10. But his father told him not to rush his peerage since he still had plenty of time. He would visit Rias weekly, requested by Rias and his father. Minato advised that you should act like kids in your age and make some friends. Enjoy your childhood since you have a big responsibilities ahead of you, being the heir of the Pimon clan, that you don't have enough time to play around. He learned many things about Rias and her family. Rias was soft, kind and loyal to her friends and proud of her family name, but didn't like to be seen as Rias of the Gremory clan. His impression of Surzek's Lucifer shattered when Rias told him about her older brother's antics. Who knew that the Crimson Satan had a sister complex? And there was Grafia Lucifige, the strongest queen. She had a strict personality and always had a stoic expression. He also learned that despite being strict, she was a kind and wise lady that loves her family deeply. He also met Rias' queen and rook one time of his visits. Her queen's name was Akino Himejima. She was around Rias' age with long black hair and violet eyes. Her hair being tied in a ponytail reaching all the way down to her legs. The most noticeable of her appearance was her asset, which was a little bigger than most girls at her age should have. Akino was an elegant and gentle girl, but she loves to tease Rias. And her rook's name was Kaneko Tuju. She was a year or 2 younger than Rias and Akino. Kaneko had white hair and hazel eyes. At the front, Her hair has 2 long bangs going past her shoulders and several loose bangs hanging over her forehead, while the back has a short bob cut. She also wears a black cat-shaped hair clip on both sides of her hair. Kaneko had a quiet and cold personality, rarely showing any feelings and emotion, even when she was speaking. During one of his visits he met Rias' best friend, Sona Citri, the heiress of Citri clan and Seraphal Leviathan. Sona had black hair styled in a short bob cut and critical violet eyes under her violet glasses. She was a little bit serious and matured for a girl of her age. Naruto could tell that she's an intelligent girl for her age. And there was Seraphal Leviathan. She was a beautiful woman with a childlike body with a large bust. She had long black hair tied in twin ponytails with pink bows and her energetic violet eyes. She was a cheerful person with a childlike personality. She was the same as Surzek's Lucifer, having a deep sister complex and has a tendency to get Sona into embarrassing situations. As the time flew, he became close to Rias and Sona. They played around in the Gremory estate and sometimes watched one of Rias's anime. There were times that they played chess, though Rias always lost to him and Sona. But when him and Sona played, well, let's just say that Sona learned the hard way about his luck. After they played, Sona asked him if he would play with her if he had time. He readily agreed at her invitation since he enjoyed his time around her. He visited her in Citri household sometimes just to play and spend time with her. They became closer to each other, but there was one thing confused him though. After his winning streaks to her, Sona said something about being her partner in the future. Being a friendly and naive he agreed without thinking. He also met some members of the Phoenix clan, and didn't had a good impression of them at first. It was when he visited Rias at a wrong time since the Phoenix family had a meeting with the Gremorys. As far as he knew, Rias was engaged to the third son of the Phoenix, an act to create a new bloodline and solidify the relationships of the two clans. What angered him the most was that Riser Phoenix, the one who was engaged to Rias, didn't give a damn about love. He only thought about Rias as a breeding stock. He was also arrogant and aggressive playboy with a holier-than-thou personality. However, he was really gotten along with the eldest son of the Phoenix, Rival Phoenix. He kind and humble, unlike Riser. He also found out that Lord and Lady Phoenix were the same but kinda disliked them a little for forcing Rias on something against her will. Then there's Ravel Phoenix, the only daughter and youngest of the Phoenix siblings. She was a young girl around Kaneko's age and behaved like a true noble lady. She had long blonde hair and dark blue eyes. Her hair is tied in twin ponytails with large, drill-like curls, and blue ribbons keeping them in place. The front of her hair has several bangs hanging over her forehead, with a V-shaped fringe hanging over the bridge of her nose. She was a well-mannered, modest, elegant, and polite young girl, but shown to be initially harsh towards those whom she dislikes. Their first meeting was somewhat proved that. She kicked him in the leg and screamed that a lowly servant like him shouldn't be casual to them. Maybe it was his fault for wearing a commoner's clothing, as she put it. Can you really blame him? He didn't like to wear those formal clothes since it made him uncomfortable. When she learned about who he really was, she repeatedly apologized for her conduct. He found it amusing though, even she acted like a true noble, she was still a child on the inside. He just brushed off her apologies and extended his friendship with her, which she readily accepted it with a smile. Snapping out of his thoughts, he noticed that his surroundings were unusually quiet. Strange. Usually, I come across some of our servants, but ever since I arrived, I haven't met anyone. Having a bad feeling about it, he hurriedly runs towards the kitchen where most of the servants usually stay. His bad premonition came true when he saw blood on the walls and doorway of the kitchen. Seeing this, he panicked and immediately ran to search his father. While he ran, he ignored bloody dead bodies of their servants, and some of his father's peerage lying on the floor. As much as he wanted to mourn about them, he had to find his father. Damn it! Who did this? As far as I know, we don't have enemies that want our blood. This is very bad, even Dad's peerage members were dead. I just hope that Dad is still safe. I don't know what I'll do if something bad will happen to him. First he checked the living room and then dining room. But all he saw was cold dead bodies of their servants. Then he went to their garden to see if his father was there. Not a single person was present in there. But he noticed that all the guards in the gate were dead. Whoever did this was pretty straightforward. They went inside the estate through the gate. TCH, they're definitely powerful. Things couldn't have been better. So far, I've checked every possible place where Dad would be except for his room. To his room it is. Knowing where to go next, he ran immediately. As he was nearing his father's room, he heard the sounds of fighting. When he arrived at the scene, it was a total chaos. His father was fighting two devils, a male and a female. At a single glance, he could tell that his father's opponents were ultimate-class devils because of their demonic energy. His father was all winded up while the two was still yet to show their exhaustion. As his father was catching his breath, His eyes widened when he saw Naruto staring right at him with a scared expression. Naruto! What are you doing here? Or better yet, why did you come here knowing it's dangerous? Minato shouted at Naruto seriously. I don't know, all I saw were blood and dead bodies everywhere, so I wanted to check on you. Naruto stuttered while trying to stop his body from shaking out of fear. Oh, ain't that sweet, Minato? Don't worry, you're going to die today together with your son. You should have seen this coming after your clan sided with those fake. The male intruder said. He summoned a sword and immediately lunged forward to stab Naruto. Naruto closed his eyes waiting for the pain to come, but what he felt was blood splashing on his face. As he opened his eyes, he was shocked to see this father took the strike for him. And the attacker jumped back due to the sudden intervention of Minato. I won't let you lay a finger on my son while I'm still alive, Shalba. Minato said with intensity as blood was leaking in his mouth. He knew he was surely gonna die now because of his wound. So he started to think of a plan to ensure Naruto's safety. Then we will kill you first, Minato, then play with your son before we kill him too. The female assailant said with venom on her voice as she started gathering her demonic magic in her hands. Having no choice, Minato suddenly conjured a sandstorm to disorient them. Damn it! Again with this annoying thing. When I get my hands on you, I'll kill you slowly and painfully, shouted the female intruder. Kateria, you'll have your chance later. Did you forget that he can't escape this too? He needs to be near with this sandstorm in order to supply the technique with his demonic energy. Even if he escapes, he will die because this sword was poisoned. The now named Shalba said to his partner, as he lazily waved his sword in front of her. Meanwhile with Naruto, he was crying that his father took the strike that was meant for him and was dying because of it. Why am I so weak? Why didn't I dodge that strike? Damn it! Why? As if knowing what he was thinking, his father knelt and looked straight into his eyes. Naruto, don't blame yourself, you're still a child after all. Now listen carefully, and don't interrupt me until I finished, okay? He said to him as he started to cough some blood. Not trusting his voice, he just nods repeatedly. I don't have any time left. Even if we escape from here, I'll die from the poison and blood loss. Cough cough. Listen well, I'm always proud of you, Naruto, and I think your mother too. This sandstorm will stop for a minute or two. I want you to run away from here. Then tell either Sir Zex or Serafal what happened here. They'll know what to do about it. Cough cough. Naruto, I want you to promise something. Promise that you won't think about vengeance. You have so much to live for, and create your own peerage. Treat them like family because they are the ones that will help you in your struggles. And remember, I'm proud to say that you're my son. Revive the name of Pimon household into its former glory. I love you, my son. Now go. Minato said as he coughed more blood uncontrollably. Still crying, Naruto reluctantly followed his father's words. He summoned a magic circle to teleport him to the Citri household since he knew that Serafal would be home today. As the bright light consumed him, he shouted his last words for his father. I'll always love you, Dad. I'll promise you I won't let myself consumed by revenge. But if I meet them again, I'll kill them without having second thoughts. I'm gonna make you and Mom proud. And the Pimon, his words were cut when the teleportation was finished. Seeing his son was gone to a safe place, he smiled. Tears were flowing in his cheeks. He was happy that he raised his son into what he was today. His only regret was he won't be there to see Naruto grow up. Shaking his head, he analyzed his current situation. His sandstorm will end soon and he will definitely be killed by those two. An stupid idea came across his mind. If they wanted to kill him, then he's gonna rob them that privilege. Conjuring a small knife made of water, he resolved himself for what he'll gonna do. Taking his last deep breath, he stabbed himself in the heart. As his vision started to get dark, he couldn't help but to smile. He can now see his beloved wife, Kushina. She'll probably beat him up for his stupidity. With a smile on his face, Minato Pimon died and the sandstorm was stopped. Damn him! He helped his son escape. And looked at him, he killed himself. Kateria screamed as he saw the lying body of Minato. Kateria, calm down. Let's just get out of here. We already finished what we wanted. Shalba said as he summoned a magic circle for teleportation. Seeing what his accomplice was doing, she summoned a magic circle too, leaving what mayhem they caused in the Pimon household. Citri household? Naruto was now standing in front of the Citri household. Remembering of what he need to do, he head towards the Citri estate. Open the gates, please. I need to tell Leviathan-sama something. Naruto screamed as he was seen sprinting towards the gates. The guards was surprised at the panic seen in the face of the Pimon heir. Hearing the urgency on his voice, the guards unlocked the gate and grant him entry towards the castle. Naruto was frantically running towards the main door of the Citri castle. Pushing the large wood open, he ran towards the entrance hall making some loud clicking sounds. Naruto? A voice made him stop running. He looked at the source and found out that it was his friend, Sona. He walked towards her until he suddenly collapsed due to exhaustion from running. Seeing this, Sona immediately ran towards him. She noticed that his face was one of fear and anguish. She was horrified when she saw blood all over his clothes and shaking. "What happened, Naruto? Why are you covered with blood?" she asked him with a worried tone. "Shalba Kataria dad Aloftham da," he answered between sobs as he lost his consciousness due to fatigue and traumatic experience he witnessed moments ago. Out of her character, Sona screamed from the top of her lungs, fearing that Naruto was dead. Having heard of her screams, Lord and Lady Citri and some members of their peerage rushed at the scene. They saw Naruto lying with bloodied clothes and a screaming Sona next to him. "Sona! What happened? Is that Naruto?" Lady Citri shouted in panic as Lord Citri checked Naruto's condition. "He's okay, dear, he's just exhausted. Nothing but a good night's rest will fix him. But I don't know about his mental health, he's in some kind of shock," Lord Citri exclaimed. He ordered some members of their peerage to carry him into a bed. As they watched Naruto being carried away, Lord Citri turned his gaze to Sona and asked, "What happened, Sona? Did Naruto tell you something?" "I was reading a book in the living room and heard a commotion. Wondering what was the cause of it, I saw Naruto running frantically. When I called him, he stopped and walked towards me and collapsed halfway. I hurriedly ran in his side and asked what happened. All he said was Shalba, Kataria, Dad, all of them. The last word was unclear because he suddenly lost his consciousness." Sona answered his father with unease. "Are you sure that it Naruto said Shalban Kataria?" Lady Citri asked with a grim expression. Seeing his daughter nod, her fears were confirmed. Shalba Beelzebub and Kataria Leviathan, the descendants of the original four Satans. They were infamous in the underworld at their atrocious deeds. But after the old Satan faction lost in civil war, they hid together with their supporters. But now, they resurfaced again and things will surely be difficult for the future. "Dear, call Seraphal and tell her to search the Pimon estate," she said to her husband with an urgent tone. Knowing the gravity of the situation, Lord Citri left to call Seraphal. "Sona, why don't you watch Naruto? He'll need someone to talk to when he wakes up. I'll inform the other Satans about this," Lady Citri suggested to Sona. Mom, what's going on?" Sona asked with a scared voice. When she told them what Naruto told her, their moods suddenly changed. Her fears were doubled when her mother told her father to call her sister. But now, she was scared when the Naruto's situation was needed the attention of the Satans. "We still don't know what actually happened. But judging from Naruto's current condition and the names he said, it's definitely something bad," her mother replied with a tired tone. "Who are Shalba and Kataria that Naruto mentioned?" she asked her mother with curiosity. As she watched her mother walked away, she only heard her muttered Shalba Beelzebub and Kataria Leviathan. She froze at the moment she heard those names. She heard from her sister about the civil war and old Satan faction that was led by the descendants of the original Satans. Her sister told her that they despised the current devil system and believed that they were the rightful rulers of the underworld. Having recovered from her shock, she decided to check on Naruto. When she arrived at the room, she saw Naruto thrashing around his arms and crying while asleep. He's having nightmares about what happened. He was definitely traumatized from what he experienced. I hope that this will not break him. As she saw this, she sat at the chair on the left side of the bed and held his hand tightly. "Shoo, you're safe now, Naruto. Calm down, it's just a nightmare. I'm here for you," she said with a soft voice. Seeing that Naruto started to calm down, she sighed in relief. She knew that for now, this was the only way to help him after what he had been through. Feeling a little bit tired herself, she decided to take a nap. Next day, Naruto slowly opened his eyes as the feeling of sunlight smacked him. As he continued to flutter his eyelids and noticed that he was staring at an unknown ceiling, he felt someone holding his left hand. Looking down, he was surprised to see Sona sleeping while holding his hand. "She must be watching me that she fell asleep in here." As he continues to stare at her sleeping face, he suddenly remembered what transpired yesterday. "That's right. Dad. I must tell Seraphal-sama about what happened to them." As he desperately willed his body to move, he noticed that Sona was starting to wake up. "Huh? Naruto? Are you awake?" he heard Sona ask him as she rubbed her eyes. He nodded his head as he stared at her. "Sona-chan, can you let go of my hand? I need to tell Seraphal-sama what happened yesterday," Naruto told her urgently as he got up. Sorry. You don't have to hide it, you know. We already know what happened. Mom and Dad contacted Wani-sama and the other Satans to investigate what happened to your estate," Sona said softly. Silence reigned the room as Naruto stared at Sona with a sorrowful expression. He started to cry as images of his father's last moments replayed on his mind. Seeing this, Sona hugged him and stroked his back in a comforting way. Why did they do it, Dad? I'm sorry, it should have been me, Naruto mumbled as he continued to cry. Sure. It's okay, let it all out now. You shouldn't blame yourself about what happened. Sure. You're not alone, you know. I am here. We are here for you, your friends. Sure, Sona said with a reassuring tone. While she was doing it, she saw her sister enter the room at the corner of her eyes. Naruto, I'm glad you're awake. So-tan was worried sick when you collapsed in front of her, you know, Seraphol said with a teasing tone. Hearing her sister's words, she released Naruto with a little blush on her face and turned her gaze away from Naruto. Snapping out from his mourning, he looked at Seraphol with anguish on his face and said, Seraphol-sama, Dad and the others were and only to be cut off by Seraphol. Yes, I know, Naruto. I'm sorry for what happened. We investigated and searched the whole Pimon estate and all of the people were found dead. And the worst of all, the culprits were nowhere to be seen. So-tan said that you mentioned some names to her. May I know them? Seraphol said seriously. I heard Dad called the male one Shalba. And this Shalba called his female partner Kateria. Naruto said with some difficulty. Just thinking about those names brings unpleasant memories for him. So they were the culprits, huh? Those old Satan faction. They really hated us for them to almost wipe out one of the families of the remaining 34 pillars. Seraphol muttered under her breath. Seraphol-sama, do you know those two? My dad once told me that the old Satan faction hated our clan because after the original Satans died, my ancestors didn't support them because of their actions. And they were the reason why only my dad was the remaining member of Pimon clan after the civil war. Naruto inquired at Seraphol. Yes, I know them, Naruto, since they're infamous in the underworld. Their whole names were Shalba Beelzebub and Kateria Leviathan, descendants of the original Satans. Seraphol answered his query. TCH, as much as I want to search and kill those scums, I won't do it. I promise Dad that I won't walk to the path of revenge, Naruto said with distaste and unrestrained fury in his voice. I'm glad that you won't chase them for revenge, Naruto. But I'm kinda curious of something you said earlier. You said that the old Satan faction was responsible for making your dad the last member of the Pimon clan after the civil war. What was that supposed to mean? Sona asked Naruto. My dad once told me the history of our clan. He said that we were one of the supporters of the original Satans, especially Lucifer. But when they died, they were at the odds at Lucifer's son because he was looking down on them. And they were against his belief that us, devils, were beings that have to be evil, brutes, wicked and vicious. And it was our role to kill every single person we didn't like. Due to my ancestors siding against him, he kept his mindset role of how devils should act, to kill very person you didn't like. He really did what he said. He massacred them and some of them escaped death at his hands. Weren't lucky to see the end of the civil war except for my dad. Naruto recounted the history of the Pimon clan. Then that means you're the only Pimon left today, Sona said sadly. So-tan is right, Naruto. Seeing that you're the last Pimon left, and the heir of the clan, things will be difficult for you. So what is your plan now? Seraphol asked Naruto. She was sad to see that Naruto will be burdened with heavy responsibilities after what happened to him. I'm already thinking about some things that needed to do. But I need to get back to the estate first, Naruto answered as he lowered his head. What are you going to do in there? Are you sure you're gonna be okay in there? I mean after what happened yesterday, Sona asked with a worried tone. She was wondering why Naruto would go back in the place that full of painful memories. I'll be fine, Sona-chan, trust me. First off, I want to take a shower and change my clothes. And then, I'll get my mother's notes in her rune magic. And lastly, I'll search for things that I'll need for my plan, Naruto said with a light manner. I see. Promise me that you'll take care of yourself. I don't want to see you like that again, Sona said sadly as she lowered her head as she remembered the state Naruto was in yesterday. I promise, Sona-chan. After I finish my business there, I'll return here, Naruto said with a smile. Mao. Naruto. We already cleaned the estate and assigned some guards there. You'll have to go through them to enter in your estate, Seraphol said cheerfully to lighten up the mood. And if you're wondering what we've done with the bodies, we buried them all. Your dad was buried beside your mom's grave, she added. Thank you very much, Seraphol-sama. I know that Dad will be happy that his grave was next to Mom's. Now I want time to go, so that I can finish my tasks at the end of the day, Naruto said gratefully to Seraphol while he stood up. Be sure that you come back, Naruto. We don't know if you're still being targeted, Sona warned him. Okay. Please tell your parents that I'm sorry for the ruckus I made and thanks for their help," he said as he summoned a magic circle to teleport himself towards the Pimon estate. "It's fine, Naruto. Don't hesitate to come here if something bad happens. You're always welcome here at the Citri household," Serafal said as she struck a pose and winked at him. "One-sama is right, Naruto. You are one of my close friends, so you're always free to come here. I'll tell our parents of what we discussed here," Sona added as she ignores her sister's antics. "Okay, I'll always remember that. Please be sure to tell them my thanks. And Sona, I'm sorry for only to be cut off because the teleportation spell was completed." "Sotan, for what reason Naruto apologizes?" Serafal asked her sister as she tilted her head. "I don't know, One-sama, but I'll ask him when he returns. And stop calling me Sotan," Sona said seriously at her sister as she walked out of the room. She didn't have an energy to indulge his sister's childish antics. "But he's Sotan. It's cute and it suits you," Serafal shouted as she follows her sister. "No buts," Sona exclaimed as she started running away from her sister. "So Taeyeon, don't leave me," Serafal cried in a childish way as she trying to catch her sister. Little did they know that today was the last day they'll see Naruto for a few years. Pimon Estate. As the bright light from the teleportation spell stopped, Naruto looked at the Pimon Estate with a sorrowful smile. He really didn't want to go back here, but he needs some things in here to start his plan. He just hopes that Sona will forgive him for what he'll do. His plan was to leave the underworld without knowing where he'll go. He needs to search suitable candidates for his peerage. And the most important thing was to get stronger in order to protect himself and his future peerage members. When the guards saw him, they opened the gates and gave him entry towards the estate. As he headed towards the main door of the castle, he couldn't help but to feel a pain in his heart as he remembered the happy memories in this place. He pushed the large wooden door and marched towards his destination, his room. He arrived at his room and opened the door slowly. He slowly moved towards his bookshelf and looked for the things he needed. After he found them, he put them all on his pocket dimension. He trudged towards the night table at the side of his bed and opened the lowest drawer. The only thing in it was a photo album. He opened the first page of the album and looked at the pictures in it. The first one was a pregnant Kushina and Minato beside her. They have both smiles in their faces. And the second picture was him and his father standing outside the gates of Pimon Estates. Having seen enough, he tossed the album on the bed and headed towards his closet. After a few minutes of searching, he threw some clothes and a backpack on the bed again. Satisfied that he's almost done at what he needed to do, he headed towards the shower to take a bath. After he finished cleaning himself up, he wore one of the clothes he handpicked earlier. His new clothing was composed of black shaggy pants, orange t-shirt inside the black jacket with a hoodie and a pair of black sneakers. He packed his things and prepared a magic circle for teleportation. "My last task before I start my self-imposed exile. I need to see Mom and Dad before leaving. Who knows how long I'll be back." As the bright light consumed him, he closed his eyes out of instinct. When they opened them up, he was now at the front of his parents' gravestones. Sitting between them, he silently closed his eyes as he thinks of the things he wanted to say. "Hey Dad, Mom. I hope you guys won't be mad at my decision. I'm planning to go to the human world without telling anyone about it. I just hope that Sona-chan won't kill me after knowing that I left without informing anybody. I'm going to search members for my peerage in there, and while at it, I'll continue my training and completing my new technique that I created using Mom's rune magic. I'm gonna revive the Pimon clan and make you guys proud of me. I love you, Mom, Dad. I hope that wherever you guys are, you're happy," Naruto said with a teary smile. He continued to sit for a few minutes before standing up and walked away from his parents' gravestones. Knowing that he's far enough, he cast a spell for teleporting him to the human world. Without having a clear destination in his mind, he chose the first place that came across his mind. "To Europe it is!" Naruto shouted as he engulfed by a bright light. And on that day, Naruto Pimon, the heir and last member of the Pimon clan, disappeared in the underworld. Kuoh Academy. Not much known about its history, but still a prestigious school. Originally, it was an all-girl private school that recently turned into co-ed. So there are more girls than boys. As the grade goes down, the number of boys increases, but still more girls overall. Most of the clubs are consisted of girls. Even majority of the members of the student council are girls, including the student president. But unlike any other schools, Kuoh Academy is being run by devils. In fact, the known students are devils themselves. Rias, Gremory, and Akino Himejima. The Kuoh Academy's two great ladies because of their beauty and elegance. And they are the president and vice president of a club called Occult Research Club respectively. But in reality, the club is just a cover-up for the base of their operations. Rias is the heiress to the Gremory clan, one of the remaining 34 pillars of the underworld. And Akino is Rias' queen in her peerage. Sauna Shirtorai and Tsubaki Shinra, the third and fourth most popular girls behind Rias and Akino. They are the president and vice president of the student council respectively. Like Rias Club, the student council is just a cover-up, but they do their responsibilities as student council of the Kuoh Academy. Sauna Shirtorai is just an alias that she used in the school. Her real name is Sona Citri, heiress of the Citri clan, one of the remaining 34 pillars of the underworld. Meanwhile, Tsubaki is Sona's queen in her peerage. Yudo Kiba, dubbed by the female students as the Prince of Kuoh Academy because of his looks and the way he acts. A member of the mysterious occult research club being Rias Knight in her peerage. Kaneko Tuju, also known as the school's mascot because of her petite body, cold demeanor, and always seen eating snacks during her free time. Also a member of occult research club and Rias Rook in her peerage. And lastly, the infamous Issei Haidu, one of the perverted trio, the most perverted students in the Kuoh Academy. The reason that made Issei infamous is being a member of the club with the most popular students of the academy. But in reality, he is Rias' only pawn in her peerage and the current Sekyudai. He is the current possessor of one of the 13 Longinus, boosted gear which Drake, one of the 2 heavenly dragons, resides in. And today was just another normal afternoon at Kuoh Academy. The school has just ended and you can see groups of students mingled each other as they walk towards the gates. Some students head towards their respective clubs. The perverted trio was being chased by a group of girls. The hallways were filled with students talking with each other. The teachers and staffs were finishing their work for the day and preparing to go home. But to the members of student council, today was one of their busiest day. Sona Citri, or her alias Sauna Shirtorai, the president, was diligently working on the accursed enemy of all leaders of an organization, paperwork. At her side, the vice president of the student council, Tsubaki Shinra, was helping her. Why is it that today's paperwork are this many? Sona said tiredly to no one particular. I don't know, Kaicho. But some of them are complaints to the perverted trio again. Tsubaki answered her, as she handed over the documents. TCH, I don't know what to do with those 3. I'm very tempted to suspend them for a week if this continues. Sona muttered with a clearly annoyed expression. As they furiously working, a knock stopped them both. Tsubaki, would you please receive whoever our guest is? Sona requested Tsubaki. Hi Kaicho. As Tsubaki opened the door, Rias and Akino entered the room. Oh, it's just you guys. What can I do for you, Rias? Sona asked her childhood friend and rival. Well, there are 2 things that I wanted to talk about, Rias replied as she sat in front of Sona, who just nodded her head signaling her to continue. First, I want to enroll this girl into the school, she said, and Akino handed the documents to Sona. Is she the newest member of your peerage? Sona asked while she scanned the papers. Yes. She was a former nun, killed in the schemes of the fallen angels recently in this town, Rias answered. I see. She must be special to attract the attention of the fallen angels, Sona commented as she handed the papers to Tsubaki and motioned her to start the procedures for enrollment. Yes, she has a sacred gear called Twilight Healing. She can heal any races including us, devils. Akino, please help Tsubaki with the process of Asia's enrollment, Rias added. Hi Bucho. Akino agreed and followed Tsubaki out of the room. A valuable asset. You really lucked again, Rias. I'll have Tsubaki process her enrollment. With Akino's help, maybe they can finish it before the administration office closes and she can enter the school tomorrow. So, what's the second thing? Sona asked as Rias. Well, last night, Oni-sama called and said that there will be a high-class devil that will be staying in THS town. He also said that he and his peerage will be attending here at the academy. He even gave me their address so that we could visit them and introduce ourselves to each other. He said that we should visit them tomorrow because they'll be having a small party for moving in here and they'll expect us to be there. Luckily, their place is near here, Rias said with a serious tone. That's interesting. Do you know from what household they are from? Sona asked curiously. That's the thing. Oni-sama won't tell me. He said that I have to find out it by myself. That's why I'm here to ask you if Serafal-sama told you something, Rias said dejectedly. I didn't receive any calls from Oni-sama for almost a month, so I'm in the same boat with you. Let's just attend the party with our peerage to know who are they, Sona said with a sigh. Okay. We'll meet at the entrance of the school tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the evening since Oni-sama said that the party starts at 7. Rias agreed at her suggestion. As she was about to leave, she heard Sona calling her. Rias. Yes, Sona? Did your brother mention any news about him? Sona asked softly. Knowing who she meant, she looked at her with a sad expression and answered her truthfully. I'm sorry, he didn't say anything about him. I see. It's already been 5 years since he disappeared. In those years, we only heard rumors about him, Sona said sadly as she looked outside the window. Yeah. I miss him too. I just hope that wherever he is, he's safe. Well, I'd better get going. My peerage is waiting me in the clubhouse. See you tomorrow, Sona, Rias said as she left the room. I just hope you're right, Rias, Sona mumbled as she went back to her work. Next day. Today's school has already ended and all of the students and staffs have already gone home. It's already past 6 o'clock and Rias and the company were waiting at Kuoh Academy's gates for the members of the student council to arrive. Bucho, where are we going? And who are we waiting for? Issei exclaimed at Rias. While he was happy that he had a break from his duties as a devil, he's curious of where they will go. Era. Issei-kun is a little bit impatient. Yufufu. Akino commented at Issei's antics. Ma, relax Issei-kun. Even we don't know where we'll be going. We'll just have to wait the others and maybe Bucho will the answers tell us where we'll go, Kiba said to Issei with a smile. Impatient pervert. Kaneko shot back at him while eating Pocky. How? Issei-san, it's okay. Surely, Bucho will tell us later about it. Asia comforted Issei who had a depressing aura surrounding him. Rias smiled as she watched her peerage's behavior. They treat each other like family. Too bad her another bishop can't go with them. As her peerage continued their childish squabbles, Rias noticed that Sona and her peerage had arrived. Sorry for having you wait for us, Rias. There were a lot of things that we needed to finish today. Sona apologizes to Rias. It's okay, Sona, there's still plenty of time to spare, Rias assured as she looked at Sona's group. Seeing the arrival of the student council, Issei, Asia, Kaneko, Kiba and Akino stopped their bickering. Bucho, why are the members of the student council here? Are they the ones that we're waiting for? Issei asked Rias with a clear confusion on his face. Oh, so you didn't mention us to Hayadu, Rias-senpai? It's also weird not to notice us, when we are devils as well, the lone male on the group said. Saji, it can't be helped because we are not supposed to contact each other at normal times. Also, it hasn't been that long since he became a devil, Sona stated. Well, I'm planning on telling Issei and Asia tonight so that we can introduce ourselves properly. Since both of us have gotten new members to our groups, it'll be better this way, Rias reasoned the group. Wait, that does mean that Kaicho is a devil too? Issei exclaimed with a surprised tone on his voice. The Kaicho, Sana Shitori's real name is Sona Citri. She's a high-class devil who is the next heir of the House of Citri, one of the remaining 34 pillars. Akino answered Issei's query. Allow me to introduce Saji Genshiro, he's my pawn, Sona said as Saji bowed with a little smile. This is my only pawn, Issei Hayadu, and my bishop, Asia Argento. She just entered the academy today. Rias smiled while she gestured at Issei and Asia. Oh, another pawn. I always wanted to meet one, Issei voiced out while smiling. Actually, being similar to one of the perverted trio damaged my pride, Saji commented offhandedly. What did you say, you prick? Issei snarled as he narrowed his eyes. Wanna go at it, perv? I might be a newly reincarnated devil, but I'm worth 4 pawn pieces, you know, Saji cockily said. Before things get escalated, Sona glared at Saji and said, That's enough, Saji, behave yourself. And for your information, Hayada-san was worth 8 pieces. 8? Isn't that all of them? For a guy like him, it's hard to believe that he's worth all of them, Saji shouted with disbelief. I'm sorry for that, Hayada-san, Argento-san. I really hope that you all get along as fellow devils in this school, Sona said with a smile, then glared at Saji. Yes. Please get along with me, Saji stammered under Sona's glare. Yes. Let's get along, Genshiro-san, Asia said with an innocent smile as she extended her hand for a handshake. Saji quickly grew a smile as he used both of his hands to shake Asia's hand. No. The pleasure is all mine. To be able to meet an innocent beauty like you. As he held her hand in an affectionate manner, Issei narrowed his eyes and quickly took Saji's hand and shook his hand while gripping it. Hard. Ha! Please get along with me as well, Saji-kun. Also, I suggest that you keep your hands away from Asia if you don't want to die, Issei said to Saji with a fake smile. Oh yes. Let's get along, Issei-kun. To keep such beautiful lady just for yourself. I expected less from one of the perverted trio. Saji growled back at Issei while adjusting his grip and started to squeeze his hand. As the two pawns insult each other, Rias and Sona looked at each other and turned their gaze at Issei and Saji and let out a tired sigh. Enough, Issei/Saji. Rias and Sona shouted at them together. Hearing their respective king's order, they both shut their mouth up and huffed away with each other. Now that those two stopped their childish antics, let's go to the party that Lucifer-sama said to Rias. Sona stated as she started to walk. What party Lucifer-sama mentioned, Kaicho? Rias-san? Tsubaki asked the two. Well, Lucifer-sama told us that there will be a high-class devil and his peerage that will be staying in this town. Also, they already enrolled at Kuoh Academy by himself. He told us that they're having a small party for moving in here and expecting us to go there so that we'll get to know each other. Sona answered her queen's inquiry. Yeah, he didn't even mention which household they belong. All he gave was their address. Rias added, making the other members of the group curious of the new devils. As the group continued to walk towards their destination, they interacted with each other. Kiba was just keeping himself amused at Issei and Saji, who were insulting each other. Asia and the other members of the student council were getting to know each other. Akino and Tsubaki were talking about their day at school. Rias and Sona were just observing the group. And Kaneko, being Kaneko, just eating a Pocky, and followed them closely. Looks like this is the place, Rias mentioned to the group as she looked at the place and checked the address. The group stopped what they were doing and stared at the house. It was surprisingly normal for the status of its owner. The place is normal 3-story terrace house with a gray exterior, a balcony on the upper floors, and a black roof. Bucho, just to be sure, are we really going to meet a high-class devil? Issei asked Rias unsurely. Well, who can blame him? The house they're staring right now is like any residential ones. He was expecting something grand like a big mansion. Yes, I see, but I don't expect their place to be normal, Rias assured Issei with a confused tone. Let's just ask the residents of this place if this is the right address, Sona suggested. Kaicho is right, Bucho. And it's not like Lucifer-sama was trying to make a joke on us, Akino added. Following Sona and Akino's words, Rias walked towards the gate and pressed the doorbell. They waited for a few minutes until a girl around their age came out. She wore a lavender-colored kimono with flower designs and a cream-colored obi. She had a long, straight dark blue hair that reaches her waist with Heim-style haircut. She had a shoulder-length strands that framing her face and fair skin. Her body was rather well developed for her age. But what caught their attention the most was her eyes. Her eyes were white pupil-less eyes with a tinge of lavender. They begin to wonder if she's blind or suffering from some kind of optical ailment. Good evening. Is there anything you need? The girl politely asked them. Good evening too. We're looking for this address. I just wanted to ask if we were at the right neighborhood, Rias stated in the same manner as she handed a small card. Well, you're at the right place. Are you perchance the Gremory and Citri group? The girl asked with a polite tone. Hearing her words, the group stiffened, for their identities were known by a stranger. Please don't be alarmed, we're expecting you here. After all, we're all the same, she added. Yes. We are here by the suggestion of Lucifer-sama to join you in your small party, Sona answered seriously. Ah, yes. Please follow me. The girl motioned them to follow. Seeing this, Sona and Rias led their group. Instead of entering the house, they directly went to the backyard. When they arrived, they saw 2 tables with different kinds of foods and drinks, chairs that can accommodate their group, and 7 more people who were doing several of things. The lone male of the group was playing chess at the porch with a red-haired girl who seems to be irritated. A brown-haired girl was sitting in one of the chairs and reading a book. Near the tables, a blonde girl was arguing with a silver-haired girl, and the mint-green-haired girl was helping a girl with a long white hair in arranging the chairs. Hey everyone, our guests are already here. Can someone call him? The girl who guided them requested her company. I'll go get him. Seeing everyone here is kinda busy. The brown-haired girl volunteered and suddenly got up and went inside the house. Please wait here as she get our king. He's kinda nervous to meet you, especially Citri-sama and Gremory-sama, the girl with dark blue hair said to Sona and Rias. Okay. But when are you gonna introduce yourselves? Sona said to the girl and looked at her seriously. I'm sorry, but our king said that he will introduce us later. He said that we shouldn't give our names and any hints about his identity. He said that it will be a surprise. The girl apologized to the group with a bow. Your king seems a little bit childish, Sona remarked at their king's antics. Well, everyone has their own quirks. His is being childish. The girl just commented with a smile. He acts like someone who you know, Sona. Rias commented as she looked at Sona with a teasing smile on her face. Sona just glared at Rias while the others were giggling at their exchange. Then they noticed the brown-haired girl returned with another person who seems to be their king. Seeing this, the group looked at him. He was a teenage boy with tan skin and a mop of spiky sunny blonde hair. He had a lean muscular build and stood at an impressive height of 5 feet 11 inches. When they saw him look at them, they saw his bright blue eyes that peeking through some messy bangs. His face was framed with jaw-length bangs, and the most prominent feature of his face was the 3 thin lines that resembled an animal whiskers. Yo! So Tan, Ria-tan, Akino-chan, Nico-chan. Long time no see. The young man said to the group with a big smile on his face. The group was now utterly confused that the newcomer called 4 of their friends in a friendly manner. Akino and Kaneko just stood still and staring at him with wide eyes, while on the other hand, Sona and Rias started to sob and walked towards him. When they were in front of him, Sona slapped him while Rias kicked him on his knee. They continued to beat him until he got away from the two. Ouch! What was that for? The blonde-haired young man shouted indignantly. Shut up, you bastard! Do you know how worried we are when you just disappeared without telling anyone? Sona shot back as tears falling down on her face and continued to beat him. Not only that, but we heard some outrageous rumors about you. What were you doing during last 5 years? Rias shouted as she punched him in the gut. Well, only to be cut off by another slap courtesy of the Citri heiress, then hugged him tightly. I was worried sick, Naruto. Why did you leave? You better have a good explanation or else. Sona said to Naruto with a tone that she was not joking with her threat. I'm sorry, Sona-chan, Rias-chan. I'll explain things later on, Naruto said as he returned the hug. On the sidelines, Naruto's company just watched silently of Naruto's beating and reunion, while Rias and Sona's peerage were confused because not only they know their host but they beat him. Akino-senpai, Kaneko-chan, who is he? Why does he know you guys? Issei asked Akino and Kaneko, who were smiling with tears at the corner of their eyes. Fuku Kaishu, do you know him? And why is it that Kaicho hugging him? A jealous Saji asked Tsubaki, who's smiling as she looked at Sona. Well, it's better that Akino-san or Kaneko-san answer your questions since I never met him. I only heard stories about him from Kaicho. Everyone looked at the two and waited for their response. He's their childhood friend, Naruto Pimon, the last member of the Pimon clan and heir to its household. Kaneko and I met him when he visited the Rias to play with her. Then some time later, he met Sona and they became close friends. Though I don't know what really happened between the two of them, Akino explained to the group while Kaneko just nodded. Sensing the confusion of the other group, Naruto released Sona in his arms and looked towards them. Well, since the reunion was finished, let's get to the introductions. My name is Naruto Pimon. As Akino-chan said, I'm the last of Pimon clan and its heir. Now I'm going to introduce my peerage to you guys since I told them not to use their names, for you will know them, Naruto said with a fox-like grin on his face, earning as stupefied looks on his guests. Just go and introduce them so that we can do ours and tell us what you've been doing during your disappearance, and about the rumors, Sona retorted while wiping the tears on her face. Okay, geez. You're always so serious, Sotan. Well then, let's start, Naruto said while calling his peerage to come near him. This is my queen, Noella Crowley, an expert magician and current possessor of absolute demise, or also known as Eternal Ice Princess, Naruto said while pointing her. She appears to be in her early 20s with long white hair tied in a ponytail with a huge black ribbon. She had pale complexion and her face was framed with long bangs that reaches her chest. Hello everyone, I'll be in your care, Noella said with a formal tone as she bowed. Wait, Crowley? Are you Aleister Crowley's descendant? And a Longinus possessor too? Sona inquired Noella. Hearing her words, Rias and the others looked at Noella with shocked expressions. Not every day you can see the possessor of one of the 13 Longinus. Yes, I'm his descendant, but I'm not as good as him when it comes to magic, Noella confirmed with a stoic expression. Okay, now let's go to the next person. This is Fu, one of my rooks, a fairy that once served King Oberon at his court in Avalon. She's a daughter of a nymph and a Spriggan. She's good at using spears and fairy spells. And also, she's knowledgeable in herbalism, Naruto said as he pointed at Fu. She had a spiky, shoulder-length mint green hair and has orange eyes. Hello, I'm Fu. I hope we can be good friends, Fu said as she bowed in front of them. Okay, ask your questions later. Let's finish first the introductions, shall we? Naruto interjected before any of them could ask about Fu. The next is one of my bishops, the mutated one, Kuoh Academy. Akubi no Kitsun. Naruto said while pointing at Shuko, who was pouting at his introduction. This earned many gasps at their guest. Akubi is known to be par with an ultimate class devils and Naruto has one on his peerage? What's next, a hero descendant? Mao, why is it so short? I thought you'd say some cool things about me. Naruto-kun, you mean it? Shuko protested at her introduction and sprouted her ears and tails. She had a fair skin and vibrant red hair that reached her back. On the top of her head, there were 2 red fox ears with white tips. And her 9 red tails with white tips were lazily moving on different directions. Her eyes were colored gold, and had black slits. Shuko, don't be a bother to Naruto-kun. We don't have all the time of the world to waste for your introduction, Noella said to Shuko with a stern voice. What did you say, you ice witch? Shuko shot back at Noella with a menacing glare. Guys, please stop it. You can rip each other later, okay? Naruto diffused the tension between the two of them before things escalated. Noella remained her cold demeanor while Shuko just huffed away. Naruto just sighed tiredly at their antics. Well, now that's over, let me introduce to you my 2 knights. The blonde one is Vivian Pendragon and the silver-haired one is Genevieve Dulac. Naruto motioned at the 2 who just smiled and waved at the group. Vivian had a small stature and fair skin tone. Her blonde shoulder-length hair was tied in a ponytail. Her face was framed with jaw-length bangs and her deep green eyes were barely covered with her bangs. Genevieve, on the other hand, had a short hair and gray eyes. She appears to be in her late teens and had a white skin tone. Pendragon? Dulac? How in the name of Satans did you get the descendants of King Arthur, Lancelot and Guinevere? Rias voiced out her disbelief. The others were now completely shocked. A magician's descendant with a Longinus, a fairy that once served at Avalon, a Kyuubi, and now 2 hero descendants? Just how did Naruto manage to convince them to join his peerage? Hey Tomato, I'm not your King Arthur's descendant, I'm Mordred's descendant. Vivian corrected Rias with a glare. Vivian, you should have just told her nicely, do you have to insult her? Genevieve asked Vivian with a tired tone. Now Rias, Sona and the others had their mouth agape while Naruto, and his peerage just sighed at Vivian. She just insulted a high-class devil without having a care in the world. Sorry for her attitude, she's not the type that do formalities. Naruto apologized while waving his hands to gather their attention. Rias just nodded at him and motioned to continue. Wait, you said her name is Genevieve Dulac, right? Isn't she one of Church's top exorcists? Sona asked Naruto skeptically. Everyone's eyes were now wide open as they stared at Genevieve. Yes, Citri-sama. I was once an exorcist. But due to some unfortunate events, I met Naruto-sama and joined his peerage as his knight. Genevieve answered Sona's inquiry. They noticed that she mentioned the word exorcist with hatred. Jin-chan, please calm down. Naruto muttered softly as he held her shoulder in a comforting manner. Hearing Naruto's words, Genevieve calmed herself down and smiled at him. Now for the last 3, they're all my pawns. You already met Hinata Hyuga, she's the one that received you. She was worth 2 pieces. Naruto pointed at Hinata, who smiled and apologized at them for her behavior earlier. The one who volunteered to call me was Yakumo Ose, a member of the extinct clan of Ose, one of the 72 pillars. Naruto pointed at Yakumo, who bowed at them and smiled. She had a long brown hair and light brown eyes. Her hair was straight on the other side, but on the other side it is in a braid. She had a white skin tone and a slim body. She was worth 3 pieces. Naruto added. Wait, if she's a member of one of the clans of 72 pillars, doesn't it make her a high-class devil? She can receive her own evil pieces and start her own peerage, and yet, why did she join in yours? Sona asked Naruto with curiosity. Well, long story short, I was a damsel in distress, he helped me and offered his friendship. But when he said that he was to leave the underworld again, I cried and he offered me a place in his peerage. Yakumo happily explained to Sona. The group was just stupefied at her simple yet complete answer. Okay, this is my last pawn, Shikamaru Nara. He was worth 3 pieces and he's the laziest person I know. Naruto introduced Shikamaru, who looked like going to sleep at any moment. He had a shoulder-length black hair tied in a spiky ponytail with brown narrow eyes. Troublesome blonde. Nice to meet you guys. I hope we got along. Shikamaru said lazily at the group. Don't mind about him, he's just like that. He may be lazy but he's our strategist. Naruto emphasized while his peerage nodded their heads, agreeing at Naruto's words. Okay, so now you only left with a bishop and a rook? Sona asked Naruto. Well, yeah? I kept them for some reasons, Naruto said with a sly tone. Well, now that you've finished introducing your peerage, I'll start mine, Sona said while motioning her peerage to get closer to her and started her introduction. Tsubaki Shinra, my queen. Sona pointed at Tsubaki, who bowed at Naruto and his peerage. She's a young bespectacled woman with black, straight, knee-length hair with split bangs and heterochromic eyes, with a violet left eye and a light brown right eye. She also wore a square, semi-rimmed glasses. Momo Hanakai and Raya Kasaka, my bishops. Momo had a black hair that reached her back with bangs just above her blue-green eyes, while Kasaka is a slim girl with long brown hair that ends in two short braids and matching eyes. Then Sona pointed a girl with shoulder-length, reddish-brown hair and brown eyes. Her hair features swept bangs and a single strand of hair sticking out from the top. Tomo Meguri, my knight, Sona said while Tomo happily waved her hands at Naruto and his peerage. Yura Tsubasa, my rook. Yura was a tall girl with blue, shoulder-length hair and matching eyes. Saji Genshiro, worth 4 pieces, and Ruruko Nimura, who worth 1 piece, Sona said as she pointed at the lone male in their group who has short blonde hair and gray eyes with a short, petite girl with brown hair and twin ponytails and green eyes. Wow, so Tan, your introduction is boring. Why are you always so serious? Can't you be like Levi Tan? Naruto remarked her with a playful tone. Everyone just snickered at Naruto's word while Sona blushed at embarrassment. Stop calling me that. Since when did you call her like that? As I remember, you called her Serafal-sama. So can you tell me what happened? Sona said with a sweet voice, but her eyes were dead serious. Mao So Tan is so serious. I'll tell you later when Ria Tan's introductions are over, Naruto said while pouting like a child. Okay, you better tell me everything, Sona emphasized seriously. Naruto just nodded at her and motioned Rias to start her introductions. This is my queen, Akino Himejima. Rias pointed at her. Akino bowed and gave them a sweet smile. Kaneko Tuju, my rook. The petite girl with white hair just nodded from Rias' words. Yudo Kiba, my knight. Kiba bowed and smiled at Naruto's group. My bishop, Asia Argento, and my only pawn, Issei Hayadu, who worth 8 pieces. As she pointed at Issei and Asia, who bowed and gave them a friendly smiles. 8 pieces? Perhaps a Longinus possessor? Naruto questioned Rias. Perceptive as always, Naruto-kun. Yes, he's the current possessor of boosted gear, the sacred gear that housed Drake, one of the 2 heavenly dragons, Rias stated proudly. Well, now that's over, let's eat while I explain things to you guys, Naruto said as he gestured his hand to the tables. Everyone served themselves with the snacks and drinks of their own choice. As they finished getting what they wanted, all of them were now sitting on the chairs. Sona and Ria sat in front of Naruto, while their respective peerages were beside them. Naruto, since when did you came back? Sona asked Naruto, who was munching some chips. Well, I returned to the underworld last week while the others were searching for a place for us to stay in this town, since I'm planning to surprise you guys. But when I visited your home, well, Naruto's words stopped as he smiled sheepishly and rubbing the back of his head. Well, what? Rias rebuked with an irritated voice. This happened. Naruto started narrating his return in the underworld. Flashback, last week in the underworld. Naruto was now standing in front of the gates of Citri Estate. It's been 5 years since he last entered this place, and nothing seems changed. He just returned from his self-imposed exile. Having visited his parents' resting place, he decided to visit the Citri and Gremory household. Now, he headed towards the guards to ask permission of his entry towards the castle. He presented his clan's crest at the back of his right hand. As the guards saw this, they were shocked for a moment. They heard about the disappearance of the Pimon's heir 5 years ago. The guards stood still until they heard Naruto's cough. Can I go inside now? Naruto inquired the guards as they recovered from their shock. They opened the gates and granted him entry to the castle. One of the guards had escorted him towards the castle's living room. When they reached their destination, the guard bowed down to Naruto and returned to his post. Watching the guard leave, he knocked twice on the wooden door and waited for a response. Come in. He pushed the door open and scanned the occupants of the room while they were staring at him with wide eyes. There were 4 of them, namely Lady Citri, Lady Gremory, Graphia Lucifige, Serafal Leviathan, and Serzex Lucifer. Seeing them, he gulped and steeled himself of what will happen to him. Naruto, you're back. We missed you so much. You just disappeared without a trace 5 years ago. Serafal shouted as she glomped at Naruto and hugged her tightly. Sira FAALLSSAA Ma Naruto struggled at her arms. Serafall, you might release Naruto before he dies from the lack of oxygen. Surzex voiced out as he looked at Naruto's blue face. Sorry Narutan. Now can you tell us where you have been? Sotan cried when you left Serafall asked Naruto after she released him from her grasp. Catching his breath, Naruto looked at them and noticed Lady Citri and Lady Gremory walked towards him. Good day Lady Citri and Lady Gremory. It's nice to see you doing well, Naruto said with a nervous smile as he looked at the scary expressions of their face. As the two of them stopped right in front of him, Naruto apologized at the two of them with a bow. I'm sorry for my disappearance and troubles that I caused. Lady Citri bonked him in the head, while Lady Gremory hit him on the back of his head. Hard. Do you have any idea what you have done, Naruto? Lady Citri asked with a hint of anger on her voice. Yes, Lady Citri. I know the consequences of my actions and I'm ready to take any punishments for it, Naruto stated apologetically. It's okay, what matters is that you're safe. But you have to tell us what did you do during this last 5 years, Lady Gremory said with a motherly smile. I went to travel around the human world, continued my training and fulfilled my promise to Dad, Naruto explained to them. And what kind promise was it? Surzex asked. To search for some suitable peerage members, Naruto said as he noticed the stares of the occupants of the room. If that's the reason why you left, you didn't have to leave here in the underworld to search for the members of your peerage, Lady Citri rebuked at his answer. Well, it's just that I want to get away from here. I wanted to forget about that day, Naruto mumbled as he lowered his head. Hearing his words, they didn't question him any further. They knew what happened on that day. So, what are you planning to do now? Since you came back, you can attend the gathering of the young devils at this summer, Surzex asked Naruto. I want to lay low for a while and wait for a perfect opportunity to announce to the underworld about my return. But I don't know what to do until summer comes, Naruto stated his plan to them. You could attend at the school in the human world where Rias, Sona, and their peerage attends, Lady Gremory suggested at Naruto. School? Why would I attend to that boring educational institute? All I planned was to stay in the human world where Rias and Sona were studying and surprise them. Why would I go to school with them? I hate schools, Naruto protested as he waved both of his hands in denial. That's a good idea. And think of it as your punishment, young man. Do you think we would let you off so easily after the stunt you pulled off? Lady Citri remarked sternly to Naruto. Seeing no way out of this, Naruto's shoulders slumped in defeat. Look on the bright side, you can spend time with Sona and Rias. You can make up for the time you left for 5 years, Lady Gremory added. They'll definitely beat me to the inch of my life, Naruto muttered as he shivered of what the two will do to him. Mao Narutan. I think they won't hurt you cause they missed you too, Serafall said cheerfully. I think Serafall is right, Naruto-kun. I know that we should believe that they can take care of themselves, but we can't help but to worry of their safety. Surzex agreed at Serafall's words. Fine. Me and my peerage will enroll at Kuoh. But one of my peerage members is old enough to be a student, so what should I do about her? Naruto said as he looked over to Surzex. She can be a teacher in there. Just send your files to me and I'll have someone do the process. You can attend the school next week. I'll just send your uniforms and things you needed after the process is done, Surzex answered his query. Okay. But can you please don't tell Sona and Rias that I've returned? I wanted to invite them to my small party for moving in the town and surprise them, Naruto pleaded as he looked at them. Okay Narutan. Just take care of So-tan and Ria-tan on the human world. Serafall chirped happily as she struck a pose that looked like a magical girl. Of course, Serafall-sama. I'll protect them if they are in danger since they are my friends. Naruto agreed on her request. Mao Narutan. You can call me Saranichan or Levi-nichan, Serafall exclaimed with a pout on her face. But it will be disrespectful to you, one of the Satan, to call you like that, Naruto responded while smiling sheepishly. You're lucky that I didn't freeze you for making my little So-tan cry, Narutan, Serafall said with a sweet smile on her face, but her eyes were dead serious of what she said. Seeing that he had no choice, he looked at the others to ask help to get him out of his predicament. Surzex was just chuckling, Grafia just remained emotionless as always, and Lady Citri and Lady Gremory just giggling at his misfortune. Oh, okay, Sarah-tan, Naruto said as he tried to hide the blush of his face because of his embarrassment. Yip. See, it's not so hard to say it, right? If only So-tan is like you Naruto-tan. She's always so serious. Serafal cheered as she hugged Naruto again. Well, now that's over. Do you still have plans for today, Naruto? Lady Citri asked Naruto, who given up struggling on her grasp. Yes, Lady Citri. I'm planning to get some books at the Pimon estate and help my peerage at their task. Naruto answered. You're leaving already? Mao Naruto-tan. Why do you always leave? Serafal asked while childishly pouting at him. Serafal, he said that he had some plans. He won't leave again like he did. Right, Naruto? Lady Gremory said with a sickly sweet voice. Too sweet for our blonde hero. Yes, I won't leave again. I decided to settle down and prepare for my responsibilities as heir of the Pimon clan. Naruto clarified. Having been released from Serafal's arms, he fixed himself and looked at them seriously. I'll be going now. I don't know what will happen to my peerage members if I left them for a long time. Some of them are a bit unique, Naruto said to everyone. Sure, just be careful. You'll visit us again when the gathering will start, right? Lady Citri asked with a smile. Yes, I'll visit again and introduce my peerage to everyone, Naruto answered and smiled at Lady Citri. Just don't forget to send me your files, Naruto-kun, Surzex reminded him. Of course, Lucifer-sama, I'll send them as soon as I arrive at the human world, Naruto said respectfully. And please look out for Ria-tan for me. Her Oni-tan is not around to watch her, Surzex said with a childish voice. Naruto just chuckled at the Crimson Satan's behavior. Casting a teleportation spell, he turned her gaze at everyone again and said his farewells. It's nice meeting you again, Lady Citri, Lady Gremory, Graphia-san, Lucifer-sama and Serenade-tan, Naruto said while grinning as he engulfed with a bright light from the spell. Flashback ends. And that explains why I started to call her on that name. Naruto finished his story. I should have known that she'll do something like that, Sona muttered under her breath. Wait, Bucho and Kaisha's siblings are Satans? Issei exclaimed loudly as he stood up. Saji, Asia and some of Sona's peerage stared at the two with wide eyes. Yes, Issei. My Oni-sama took the mantle of Lucifer while Sona's elder sister took the mantle of Leviathan after the Civil War, Rias explained to her pawn. Wow, I didn't know that you two are like princesses in the underworld, Issei remarked with an amazed voice. Please don't think of us like that, Hayata-san. We're just like any devils, we don't act like some royalty because of our relatives, Sona clarified at Issei. I'm sorry about that, Kaicho. Issei apologized as he sat down again on his chair. It's fine. Most of the devils we met had the same reactions when they knew about our siblings, Sona replied. PFT, they may be Satans but they're hardcore cis-cons, Naruto mumbled softly. Sadly, Rias and Sona heard him and glared at him. So now that you answered Sona's questions, now you need to answer mine, Rias said seriously, leaving no rooms for arguments. What rumors are you talking about, Ria-tan? Naruto said while pretending to be ignorant of what she meant. Rias is right, Naruto. Are those rumors true or not? Sona asked with a cold tone. Curious of what Sona and Rias meant, Rias and Sona's group stared at him. Even some of his peerage was looking at him. I don't know what you're talking about, Naruto lied as he sweating like crazy due to his nervousness. Don't lie to us, Naruto Paimon. Tell us if they're true or really just rumors, Sona retorted as she glared at him with intensity. Fine. Just tell me about them and I'll confirm if they're true or not, Naruto sighed in defeat. Well, the rumors that you fought and annihilated an army of European yokais that caused chaos and havoc in a small town in the Portugal and a group of stray magicians all by yourself. Care to explain them? Rias deadpanned at the blonde devil. What? The others exclaimed in shock at Rias' statement at Naruto. Huh? Where did you heard about those ridiculous stories? Naruto uncomfortably said as he tried to ignore his guest's stares. From my brother, so don't you dare lie about it. Rias glared at him. Oh, I should have known. And here I thought that the underworld didn't know about those things. Damn. Naruto dropped on his knees with a depressing aura surrounding him. Everyone's shock was now turned into pure disbelief at Naruto's sudden change. So those were true, huh? And here I thought that Lucifer-sama was just exaggerating when he told Rias that someone reported those incidents. Sona sighed tiredly and massaged her forehead. Naruto just ignored her and everybody else as he continued mumbled incoherent words and repeatedly hit the ground. The Citri and Gremory group's sweat dropped at his actions. Is Naruto-san alright? Asia timidly asked the unconcerned Pimon group. He's always like that, overreacting on small things, Genevieve assured the former nun. Stop acting like that, Naruto. We have more questions to ask and we don't have all the time in the world for your childishness, Sona reprimanded at the depressed Naruto. Okay, so Tan. Naruto bounced back to his usual self and grinning at the dumbfounded looks he received from Sona and Rias' peerage. Is he a bipolar? They thought the same time while Sona, Rias and his peerage just sighed at him. How did you manage to do it? I know you're strong compared to us, your age group, because of your unusual high magic reserves. But even with only that, you can't do such feats, Sona seriously asked Naruto. Now everyone's attention was focused on the blonde and waiting for his answer, for they're also curious of how did he became strong enough to do those things in a young age. Training, lots of it. Did you guys think that I just wasted my time traveling all around the world? Naruto deadpanned at the group. The group's expectation was shattered at his short yet logical answer. We already knew that training can make you stronger. What I mean was, how? Rias shot back at him with an irritated voice. Secret. But the reason that I need to get stronger is to protect those who are close to me, Naruto happily answered to the Gremory heiress. Alright, we won't ask further about how did you train. One thing that I know since we were still young is that you were secretive when it comes to your training. Sona sighed at the blonde's actions. So, what's the next question? Naruto asked the two nonchalantly while eating some chips from Yakumo. I heard from my father that you have a relationship with the Agar's heiress. Is it true? Sona asked Naruto with a cold voice. Cough cough, what? A relationship with Sichan? What in the 9 circles of hell was Lord Agar's thinking? Naruto choked at Sona's news. And now you call her with such name? And what about Lord Agar's? What does he have to do with it? You only told us that you and her were just friends after you saved her from some thugs after you visited your parents' resting place. An enraged Shuko hissed and grabbed the utterly shocked Naruto at his shoulder. Everyone was dumbfounded at the scene that was playing right in front of them. They didn't know if they should be shocked if Naruto was really in a relationship with an heiress of Agar's household or Shuko was now gripping Naruto's shoulder tightly. Shuko-san, please calm down. I think Naruto-kun doesn't even know about this, Hinata calmly said at Shuko, who was now shaking Naruto furiously and kept asking why and how at him. Humph. You better clear this up, Naruto-kun. Shuko huffed and released the dizzy blonde at her grasp. Erg. Okay. I'll talk to Lord Agar's and Sichan immediately if I have some free time. Geez, why does she always act like that? Is she my mother or something? Naruto mumbled as he fixed himself. His peerage members just sighed at Naruto's denseness while his guests looked at him with disbelief looks and thinking of one the same thing. Is he really that dense? I think I know the reason why Lord Agar's spread the rumors of you and her daughter in a relationship. A sleepy-looking Shikimura voiced out. Care to share it with us, Shika? Because it'll be a long time before I'll return to the underworld again, Naruto said at his pawn. This is just my speculation, so don't take it as the truth of what really Lord Agar's was thinking when he started to spread the rumor. I think he wanted to stop her daughter's suitors to keep courting and proposing political marriages that they're sending. And seeing that you and her daughter were getting close with each other, he planned to spread some stories that she is already seeing someone just to stop others from courting and proposing at her just for being an heiress of a clan. And maybe he also wanted to have their household and ours to have ties by doing this. Shikamaru stated what he thought the reasons of Lord Agar's action. Everyone nodded their heads in agreement at Shikamaru's hypothesis and did not notice Ria's melancholic expression. Sona, Akino and Naruto looked at her with sad expression, for the three of them knew about her situation. Hooray for Lord Agar's brilliant thinking. Now I won't have to worry if some hussies try to sink their disgusting claws at Naruto. But he'll still pay for what he had done. But how will he explain to other people about his big lie? Shuko cheered but suddenly made a sullen expression as she remembered what will be the consequences of the lie. The tense atmosphere was destroyed by Shuko's sudden outburst but sent them deep in their thoughts as they heard Shuko's last sentence. Let's not worry about that for now. We still have plenty of time before we return in the underworld. So, can you tell me what rumors you guys still want to confirm? Naruto decided to avert everyone's attention to him as the topic was getting serious for a get-together. I heard you fought many powerful beings during your self-imposed exile. Were they true? Sona said with a cold voice as she snapped out from her thoughts. Everyone returned to reality when they heard Sona's statement, and made them curious of who were the beings he met and fought. Naruto and his peerage just stared at them with deadpan looks at their reactions. Sotan, I only met, and even made friends with some of them. Just name them and I'll tell you what really happened in our meeting so that I can clarify those outrageous stories. Naruto rebuked at Sona's statement, while faking a hurt expression. You're right. I'm sorry for my hasty conclusion. It's just that we only heard rumors about you during your disappearance. Sona apologized at the blonde devil with a sullen face. Mao. Is Sotan was really worried at the little old me? Naruto teased the stoic Citri heiress. Who wouldn't be worried if they heard all of your exploits? Sona shot back at Naruto with her cold glare. Sotan, you mean it? Naruto stuck out his tongue and then continued to tease the flustered Sona. At the sidelines, the Citri and the Gremory group, with the exception of Rias, Akino and Kaneko, was looking the scene with dumbfounded faces, for this was the first time they saw Sona acting like this. Rias, Akino, and even the always expressionless Kaneko smiled a little at the nostalgic scene in front of them. The Pimon group just watched the two with small smiles in their faces, for they know Naruto's behavior with his friends. I already told you to stop calling me like that. It's already bad as it is when Wanisama is calling me like that. And what about our questions for you? Are you trying to divert all of our attention away from it? Sona retorted at his teasing as she regained her composure. What? No. Why would I do that? Just start naming the beings that were involved with me in the rumors you have heard. Naruto denied her accusation. Okay, let's start with Odin of Asgard. Sona started to tell him the names that she heard in the rumors that he was involved. Pervy old geezer? Met one time in Europe after the Portugal incident. I saw him peeping in the ladies' bath and busted him. After that, we talked a little bit about the incident, and he went back to Asgard. He's really a cool geezer, if you ignore his perverseness. Naruto casually answered at the group. Yeah, that old geezer was really a pervert. Always talking about busts and butts. Vivian added her opinion. Their words gained gaping expressions at their guest, for they just boldly called Odin, a chief god, a pervert. Oh, okay, what about son Wukong? Rias asked next. Oh, old man Wukong. Met during the time we were in China for a vacation. Asked some tips in Senjutsu for Shuko-chan here and weapon wielding for Fu-chan. He even gave us some training tips to make us stronger. He's a good guy, especially his companion, Yulong. Damn, he's like Dulio, loves to eat good cuisines. Naruto said with a thoughtful face in front of everyone. Hearing that his bishop started to learn Senjutsu was already a big shocker to the group, especially to Kaneko, who tensed at the mention of the said art. Added to that, he also met one of the Dragon Kings. Wait, you mentioned the name Dulio, right? Dulio as in the Dulio Gesualdo? The church's strongest exorcist? Tsubaki voiced out what she noticed from Naruto's words. HM? Yeah, met him on a mere coincidence and fought a little bit. After that, we met again for a few times during my travels. The guy have great tastes on foods. Damn, I really want to eat the curry we ate together in India last year again. Naruto said with a nostalgic face. You were on friendly terms with an exorcist? What in the name of Satan were you thinking? Sona shouted at the carefree blonde, who still have a thoughtful expression. What? He's really a good guy, you know. And we even exchanged some techniques. Naruto said to everyone who looked at him like an alien. Only you, Naruto. Making the impossible possible. So what technique did he taught you? Sona curiously asked Naruto. Everyone looked at him with expectant eyes. But none of them noticed that Kaneko looked at Naruto and Shuko with scared face. Secret. Naruto playfully answered to the Citri heiress. Everyone sighed in disappointment at Naruto's answer. All of them were curious of what technique he learned from the church's strongest exorcist. Ugh. Fine. You're always so secretive when it comes to your techniques. So, who's the next name on the list, Rias? Sona gave up on Naruto and asked Rias to continue question the blonde. Yua? What? Oh, let me see. We already mentioned Sun Wukong and Odin. So, what about Azazel? Rias said after she recalled the names and the rumors that he involved with. Who's Azazel? Issei asked his king while the others were gaping of the name Rias just said. Oh? You mean the pervy mad scientist? The governor of the Gregory, the organization of the fallen angels? Yeah, met him on Kyoto during the time we stayed there and talked a bit together with his bodyguard, which is your pawn's rival, Rias. Naruto answered Issei's query with a serious tone on the last part. The others who knew what Naruto meant were disturbed at his words. The Gregory has the divine dividing possessor on their side, and he actually met him. My rival? You mean the White Dragon Emperor? Issei yelled at the blonde with a distressed face. HM? Yeah. And from what I can tell, He can easily kill you. I sparred with him for one time when Azazel offered us to help Noella with her sacred gear. He can now freely use his balance breaker. So I suggest that you start to train your ass up to catch up with him," Naruto seriously said as he stared Issei directly in his eyes. Hearing his words, the guests of the Pimon household had a hard time believing on what he just said about Issei's gap with his destined rival. "No way, you can't be serious." "Right, Naruto-kun?" Rias said with a worried expression and now looking at her down-hearted pawn. "I'm serious. But don't be afraid, I think you can catch up with him if you really trained hard." Naruto cheered up the Gremory group who was worried at the news they just heard. "Really? Do you think I can catch up to him? Do you think I'll get stronger?" Issei asked Naruto with hope in his voice. "Yeah. You should ask Rias to train you to ground. I would like to help with your training, but we ourselves are busy too," Naruto said with an apologetic smile. "Nah, it's okay, Naruto. I think we can train IC to get strong enough to reach his balance breaker," Rias assured the blonde, who gave her a small bow. The other members of the Gremory group nodded their heads with agreement at Rias. The pawn in question was repeatedly thanking them with their support. The Citri and the Pimon group smiled at the bonds of the Gremory group. They already knew that the Gremory household was known for being loving towards their servants, that they treated them like family. But seeing it right in front of them, they can't help but to smile at their interactions. "So, who's next?" Naruto asked Sona, who's still watching her childhood friend/rival interacting with his peerage. "You know what, I'm just glad that you're back in one piece, so let's stop talking about those rumors." Sona sighed at the blonde, who grinned at her words. "Yes. No more troublesome questions. Now, we should let everyone here get to know each other here more. After all, we'll be attending on the same school," Naruto shouted cheerily with a huge grin on his face. That's a great idea. I really wanted to know the Citri and the Gremory heiress who were with you during your childhood. Maybe they can share some of your embarrassing stories to me." A grinning Shuko agreed at Naruto's idea. "Meh? Enjoy yourself, Shuko-chan. I got to get us more drinks." Naruto deadpanned at her, took the cooler, and went inside their house. As Naruto walked away from the group, the Citri, Gremory, and Pimon group divided and reintroduced themselves and talked with each other. The queens of the Citri, Gremory, and Pimon grouped themselves and talked to each other about their experiences as a queen in a peerage. Vivian, Kiba, and Tomo were talking about swords and their styles in fighting. Genevieve and Asia were talking about their life when they were still in the church and sharing experiences when they were turned into devils. The bishops, Rook, and the female pawn of the Citri group together with Kaneko were talking with Fu, Hinata, and Yakumo. Saji and Issei were bugging the sleepy Shikamaru about his life as Naruto's pawn. And Sona and Rias were being questioned by Shuko about Naruto's childhood in the underworld. Meanwhile, our blonde hero was putting all of the drinks that he could find in the refrigerator in the cooler. While he was doing this, he was thinking of what the future would bring to his friends now that he finally decided to return to the underworld and took up the responsibilities as the last heir of the Pimon household. I'm glad that Sona and Rias weren't mad, as I think because of the stunt I pulled off after that day. Not that I can blame them though, I just left the underworld without telling anyone. And my comrades too, I hope that they can adjust themselves in this new lifestyle, especially being in school. Damn! The gathering of the young devils is few months away. I need to let myself be known to the underworld that I'm still alive and finally back. And now that I have a new family, I really hope that we can do that without causing too much commotion. We already made ourselves known to the other factions during my self-imposed exile. Not to mention, I still have to find my last Rook and Bishop before the gathering. And also, about those, our familiars and contacts may have the information regarding their locations. His train of thought stopped when he noticed that he was now holding the last beverage inside the refrigerator. Seeing this, he nonchalantly tossed it inside the cooler and proceeded to return back to the group. As he arrived at their backyard, he was taken back a bit at the scene that was playing out right in front of his eyes. His peerage members were getting along just fine with Rias and Sona's. "Hey guys, I'm back. Here are some drinks. I hope I didn't make you wait for too long." Naruto spoke as he raised the cooler right in front of him for everyone to see. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. All of us here were just sharing some things about ourselves," Rias said as she gestured her hand to the group. "Glad that you guys were getting along just fine," Naruto responded with a smile at them and sat beside Noella. Naruto-senpai, can I ask you a question?" Issei asked the blonde, which earned confused and curious stares of everyone. Sure. What is it?" Naruto replied at the brunette. "How strong are you?" Issei asked hesitantly as he tried to ignore everyone's eyes at him. The Citri and the Gremory group snapped their heads and looked at Naruto. His peerage members just stared at him with the deadpan faces, for they knew that their king will never answer Issei with a straight answer. HM? How strong? Just like your average high-class devil. Naruto answered in a carefree manner, which earned dumbfounded face from the curious group and giggles from Shuko and Vivian. Average high-class devil? Who would believe that? Vivian shot down Naruto's statement, which earned her a glare courtesy of Naruto. Yeah, an average high-class devil who can kill an army within minutes. Shuko nonchalantly added and looked at Naruto with expressionless face. Hayato-san, you won't get the answer that you want from Naruto regarding about his current strength and techniques. He's always secretive about that ever since we're young. From what he told me, his father taught him that he should always hide about that so that his enemies won't know how to counter them. Sona said to everyone who was about to retort about Naruto's answer. Mao. Sotan really knows me well. Well, there you have it, guys. Naruto cheered while grinning like a madman, for he just escaped everyone's inquiries about his current strength. Enemies? Do you or your families have many enemies that you need to do that? Tsubaki asked Naruto, who turned serious after he heard her question. No, me and my families didn't have enemies as far as I know. And the enemies I mean is not just your typical enemies which wanted you dead. Your future opponents in raiding games can study all about you if you reveal too much about yourself. Naruto answered Tsubaki's query. Raiding games? We're still young for us to join the league. And besides, are you not confident enough about your strength abilities? Akino retorted at Naruto's answer. I'm not confident with it. Naruto answered Akino's words bluntly. What? The Citri and the Gremory group exclaimed at his answer, while his peerage just sighed sadly at it. They knew that Naruto is strong, too strong for a devil of his age. But Naruto just said that he's still not confident with his strength and abilities. You just said earlier that you killed an army of yokais and a group of stray magicians all alone. And now you're saying to us that you're still not confident about yourself? Rias exclaimed at the silent blonde. That's what he said to us when we asked him that question. And he still didn't tell us his reason for it. Genevieve said to the group while looking at the blonde with worried eyes. Everyone looked at Naruto and waited his response. I wanted to be strong enough to kill them if I ever see them again in the future. Naruto muttered darkly with his eyes covered by his bangs. Everyone was confused about this except Sona, Rias, Akino, Kaneko and his peerage, who gasped at hearing this. I thought that you promised your father not to seek revenge. I know that you're strong, but they're also strong. Stronger than you. So why are you thinking of taking revenge of what happened on that day? Sona yelled at Naruto as she gripped his shoulders. Her outburst made everyone confused of what she meant, while Rias, her queen and Rook and his peerage looked at him worriedly. And Naruto only bowed his head and not daring to see Sona and everyone's face. I did promise Dad not to take revenge on them. But I didn't promise not to kill them if I ever see them again. Naruto said to Sona in a low voice that only she can hear it. You still haven't forgotten about it yet after all these years, huh? Just promise me one thing, don't do anything stupid when that day finally comes. Sona whispered back at the silent blonde. She's right, Naruto-kun. And when that day happens, we will help you with all we've got. Right, everyone? Noella added to Sona's words with soft expression on her face, which shocked some of her fellow peerage members but just dismissed it and nodded their heads on agreement at her words. Hearing this, Naruto slowly raised his head and looked at Sona for a moment, then turned his eyes on his peerage. Seeing their serious faces, he just chuckled lightly and scratched the back of his head. I'm sorry. I still haven't gotten over from that nightmare, and sometimes, it still haunts me. I guess I lost sight of what really were the reasons of why I trained myself to get stronger. I'm really sorry for worrying you, and thank you for telling me this before I lost myself at the cycle of hatred. Naruto sincerely said to Sona and his peerage. Hearing this, Sona released Naruto's shoulder and smiled at him, while his peerage was nodding their heads with happy faces. The others, which consisted of Gremory and Sona's peerage, just watching them silence, not wanting to disturb a touching scene playing in front of them. But sadly, fate won't allow them to enjoy such touching moments when Naruto and his gang were around. It's okay, we're just glad that you realized it. We don't want our foolish king to be an avenger, right? Vivian teased Naruto, which earned her a mock glare from the blonde. Ha! I totally agree with you. Though what really surprised me was Noella's face earlier. Did you see her face? I really thought that she don't know to project such emotions. Shuko laughed while facing the grinning Vivian. This made her fellow peerage members nod in agreement, while Noella just returned to her usual stoic face. Shuko-chan, don't be so mean to Noella-chan. Was that the first time that you guys saw her like that? Naruto told the laughing Shuko. Yes. All of his peerage answered with the exception of Shikamaru, who just watching them. But when we're alone, she's acting like a normal woman at her age. She even blushes sometimes, Naruto said, earning a cold glare at her queen, who tried to keep a blush creeping from her face but failed a little. Everyone's sweat dropped at Naruto's obliviousness when it comes to a maiden's feelings. No. Damn you, Ice Witch! Are you seducing my Naruto when you're alone together? Shuko yelled while glaring at Noella, who returned it with her patent cold glare. Okay, you two, please stop it. I told you earlier that you can rip each other's throats later when our guests are gone. So please stop with those looks, it's scary, Naruto said to the two, not wanting the direction of their conversation. HM. The two just turned their heads, not wanting to see each other's faces. Everyone sighed in relief when the two stopped glaring at each other. They have already enough drama for tonight, and they don't want to see another one anymore. You guys really do act like a family, does huh? Rias commented at their interactions, amused of their childish banters and strong bonds. Nah, it's just who we really are. So, can I ask some questions to you guys? Naruto turned her attention to the two heiresses and their company. Sure, we don't see anything wrong with it, Sona replied at the disturbingly serious Naruto. Hearing this, all of their attention was now focused at Naruto, who was staring seriously at the two heiresses with his bright blue eyes. The blonde kept staring at the two for a minute or two, which made the two squirming under his gaze. After a few agonizing minutes, they saw Naruto's lips move and was about to speak. You two, are you still afraid of the dark? A grinning Naruto asked in a cheerful manner, making everyone face-palm for expecting something big from him, but suddenly snapped out from their thoughts as his words sank in their heads. But the two in question were blushing from embarrassment. Why do you still remember that? The two flustered heiresses yelled at Naruto. Hearing their outburst as the confirmation of what Naruto just said, everyone giggled at the prospect of the two being afraid of the dark. Ha! Of course! I won't forget when Naruto's sentence was cut by the two who covered his mouth with their hands. I'm not afraid of the dark anymore, so stop bringing that up, Sona shouted at Naruto with the most menacing glare that she could muster while blushing. Yeah. Sona's right. We already overcome our fear of it, Rias added and took off her hand from his mouth. Sona did the same and returned to her usual strict expression. Era. So what Naruto-kun said was true, huh? If only I knew about it sooner. Fufufu. Akino said to no one particular. Her words earned a confused looks to others who didn't really know her well. But for the ones that knew her most, they took a step back away from her unconsciously. Okay, enough with that teasing and laughing. So what's the time now? Naruto said as he looked at everyone. It's already 11:45 p.m., Naruto-kun. Hinata answered his query. Oh, time sure flies when you're having fun. So what's your plan now? Naruto asked his guests, who were a little bit shocked of how late the time is. I think it's time we head home. We still have our duties tomorrow as the student council. And tomorrow will be your first day at school too, Sona replied while looking at her peerage. Oh, school. Great. Joy. Hooray. Naruto deadpanned at her with a bored voice. Still lazy as ever when it comes to school, huh? I'll agree with Sona, it's already late, and we still have some things to do tomorrow at school, Rias commented at Naruto's attitude. Who loves that torture house? You sit in there for who knows how long in there, Naruto shot back at Rias while glaring at her. Okay, so see you tomorrow? Rias said in a carefree manner. TCH, fine. Sona will kill me if I'll be late tomorrow, so let's call it a night. Good night, everyone. I really thank you for coming here. See you tomorrow at school, Naruto cheerfully said his farewell to their guests. Do you really want us to leave immediately? Or just don't want to talk about school? Sona smirked at the blonde and cast a teleportation spell for her and her peerage. Rias also did this and giggled at Naruto, who was smiling sheepishly at Sona's words. Good night, everyone. See you in school tomorrow, Naruto's peerage shouted together as they waved their hands. Good night too. We look forward to it, the Gremory and Citri servants shouted back as a bright light started to consume them. Good night, Rias and Sona. I really thank you for coming here tonight. Naruto smiled at the two of them with a soft expression. Good night too, Naruto-kun. We're just happy to see you again, Rias said as she waved her blonde at him. Good night too, Naruto. Just don't be late at school tomorrow, Sona replied with a playful smirk on her face. As he was about to retort Sona's words, he and his peerage were blinded by a bright light of the spell. As the light died down, the Citri and Gremory group were now gone. Well, that was interesting. The two of them really changed these last years. I really look forward to the future of us with them, especially the Gremory group. I wonder how they will react when they learn the truth about the White Dragon Emperor's heritage. Naruto mused himself as he looked at the stars in the night sky. We'll find out soon enough. After all, they're destined to fight each other. So, shall we start cleaning up? We don't want to be late for tomorrow, right? Noella answered his musings, which caused him to look at his peerage, who smiled at him in return. Sure. I'm feeling a little bit tired of myself, so let's finish this before Shika fall asleep there. Naruto agreed and pointed the sleeping Shikamaru, who just waved his hand at them. Okay, so let's get this started. I hope school isn't boring as it used to be. Naruto cheered and started cleaning their place up. His peerage started their respective tasks, which were pretty easy for them. Picking up rubbishes, sorting out the tables and chair and returning them in the shed, washing the dishes and throwing the garbage. For 10 minutes, all of them finished their work and now going to their respective rooms while saying their farewell for today. Shikamaru went first in his room, followed by Yakumo and Hinata, who laughed at their fellow pawn's actions. Then this was followed by a little squabble of Shuko, Vivian and Noella, who were stopped by Fu, Genevieve and Naruto himself. The reason of their banter? Simple. Shuko's declaration of sleeping with Naruto. After saying it, Noella reprimanded her, which turned to a verbal fight between the two of them. But this was stopped for a brief moment when Vivian interjected at their fight. But only to be insulted by the two, which made her a little bit angry. Naruto, Fu and Genevieve just watched them and waiting for the situation, which is a daily occurrence to them. Damn it! No one's gonna stop me from sleeping with Naruto tonight! Shuko yelled at Vivian and Noella. As if you would, you damn furball! We won't allow that to happen! Who knows what will you do to him when everyone's asleep? Vivian retorted with a deadly glare at her. She's right, Shuko. And besides, you already slept together with him last night, right? Noella said while keeping her usual stoic face. You're just saying that because you want to be the one to be with him tonight. And last night didn't count. I just snuck in his room and slept beside him. Nothing happened. Shuko boldly shouted at the two, which made the blonde in question blush as he imagined what his bishop would do. See? You just said it yourself that you wanted to sink your claws in him. Arg. This is getting nowhere. Vivian shouted in frustration and Shuko's stubbornness. The three of you, stop it already. No one's gonna sleep with Naruto-sama tonight. And that means no sneaking-ins too. Okay? Genevieve tiredly said to the three, who calmed themselves down. Alright, fine. But next time, I'll be sleeping beside him whether you like it or not. Shuko huffed away and headed towards her room. She's really a handful, isn't? Fu smiled as she watched the door of Shuko's room. I know, right? But that's what's make her fun to be with. She won't be Akaji Shuko if she doesn't act like that. Naruto agreed at Fu and started to walk towards his room. Good night, Naruto-sama/Naruto. Genevieve and Vivian said as the two of them went inside their respective rooms. Sweet dreams, you two. Naruto responded at their words. Good night, Naruto-kun. Fu cheerfully said and headed to her room. Good night too, Fu-chan/Fu. Naruto and Noella greeted back at her. The two continued to head towards their own rooms until they reached it. Well, I guess this is where we call it a night, huh? Good night, Noella-chan. Naruto muttered as he opened the door of his room. Good night too, Naruto-kun. Sleep well, Noella said with a smile and entered her own room. Naruto watched his queen until she closed her door before entering into his room. He jumped towards his bed and closed his eyes as he thought about what were their future plans with his peerage. From the way our familiars reported to us, they may find their exact locations by another week or two. So we have to ask Sona to permit us from leaving the school for 7 to 9 days. Finding and getting them will be a challenge since no one knew about where their locations. And I think I can cash out the gift that Lucifer-sama told me earlier. I'll invite Sona and Rias so they can find their new peerage members a familiar. And I guess it's time to go see her again. Better sleep now, Sotan will kill me if I'll be late tomorrow. Nah, probably not. Better enjoy my sleep like usual. Naruto's consciousness slowly drifted into dreamland as he covered himself with his blanket, unaware of the chaos that will happen tomorrow at his first day at school. It's been a week since Naruto and his group started attending at Kuoh Academy. During those days, many interesting things happened that the Pimon group found amusing, such as their first day in human school and their interactions with their human classmates. But that's not the only thing that happened for them. They found it ironic that their fellow devils in school were popular in the school. Rias and Akino were known as the two great ladies of Kuoh Academy because of their beauty and elegance. Kaneko was the school's mascot because of her small stature and always being silent. Kiba is the prince of Kuoh because of his look and being a gentleman. Asia for her innocence and kindness to everyone around her. And finally, Sona and Tsubaki for their strictness and also for their looks. And let's not forget Issei, who was rather infamous because of his pervertness, and known as the one of the perverted trio. They were detested and hated by all the female population of the school because of their peeking habits. The Pimon group also found out that Rias and Sona had their own school clubs to serve as their base of operations in the school. The Citri group had the student council while Rias had the occult research club. The group found Rias' club rather ironic because they themselves were really related to the supernatural. When Naruto and his peerage found about Sona and Rias' clubs, they wanted to create their own club. This idea was gladly supported by Shikamaru, who was having trouble of searching a quiet place to sleep during the breaks. But their idea was shot down by Noella, Rias and Sona, who said that making a new club is rather troublesome. Sona and Rias told Naruto to join the occult research club so that they could see each other more often and they could reach each other easily. So after that day, the Pimon group joined the occult research club. But the said events were nothing compared to the group's first day at the school. The normal and peaceful days of Kuoh Academy came to an end when Naruto and his peerage entered the prestigious educational facility. Flashback. It was a beautiful sunny day at Kuoh Academy where students were heading towards the school campus like they always do. And in front of the school gates, Naruto and the gang were standing and gazing at the school which they were admitted to. You know, I really didn't expect this to happen. Attending in a school, in the human world at that. I wonder how my future's days will be. Naruto sighed as he kept his gaze at the school building. Oh? You never attended school at all? Even at the time when you're still in the underworld? Vivian asked Naruto out of curiosity. Yeah. I was tutored in our estate by several instructors that my dad hired. When I was a child, I was a type of person who really didn't like to go outside of our estate. Well, except for the times I visit the Citri and the Gremory clans. Naruto answered her query. This is also my first time too. Before my mother died, she's the only one who taught me all the things I needed to learn in order to survive. Yakumo added her own thoughts about school to the group. So, how about you guys? As far as we know, only Shikamaru here have experienced school. I don't know about Noella-chan, but she's already qualified to be a teacher in here, so she must have finished her studies already. Naruto inquired as he turned his eyes to the remaining people who still hadn't shared their experience in school. I think it's definitely my first time because Avalon's school was all about magics, combat, and the supernatural world. Fu shrugged at them and turned her head towards Hinata. I was like Naruto-kun, but only it was forced by my family since I was the next head of the clan. Hinata said with her usual smile. Well, that sucks. Good thing we helped you ran away from them. Vivian commented at Hinata's statement, which earned giggles from the group. How about yours, Jin-chan? How was Church's school felt like? Naruto asked Genevieve, who snapped her attention to Naruto when she heard his words. Well, it was like any other schools, but they're more on teaching us about the things in the Bible. Genevieve answered Naruto's question with a conflicted face. Not that the group can blame her, they all knew what happened to her before she met Naruto and saved her life. Okay, so what about you two? Fu asked Vivian and Shuko in a cheerful manner. I attended school together with my two cousins, but that was only for a short time. Vivian nonchalantly answered and looked at Shuko, who was silent all the time. I never been to school. I kinda grew up in the streets before Naruto found me. I learned how to read and write by observing other people around me every day. But when I joined Naruto's peerage, I started studying secretly to know the things I still didn't know during my free time. Shuko muttered with a low voice and looked away from the group. The group's mood instantly changed and all of them looked at Vivian as if telling her that it's your fault, apologized to her. I'm sorry, Shuko. I didn't mean to. Vivian's words were cut off by Shuko herself, who raised her hand to tell her to stop. No, it's fine. Besides, the life I currently have right now with you guys is all that matters to me now. Shuko said sincerely to the group. I'm really sorry for bringing that up, Shuko-chan. I should have known better since I'm the one who met you first in the group. But don't worry, you got us as your family and we'll be always there for you. Naruto smiled at her and placed a hand on her shoulder in a comforting manner. Shuko looked at Naruto with a smile and turned her eyes to the rest of the gang, who smiled back at her and nodded in agreement at Naruto's statement. Thanks, guys. And you don't have to apologize for what that, Naruto. Shuko thanked the group and held Naruto's hand tightly. Wait, earlier you said that you were studying? During your free time? In secret? Has the world gone mad? Vivian exclaimed jokingly while faking her shock at Shuko's words earlier. And what of it, midget? Shuko shot back with a menacing glare. What did you just call me, you flea bag? Vivian snapped and returned Shuko's glare that would make most of the people cry. Shorty! Shuko retorted while making fun of Vivian's height. Why you? Vivian was about to strangle the grinning Shuko but only to be stopped by the sounds of laughter from the group. Troublesome girls, stop you bickering for now. We don't want the other students to see you fight like kids, right? For the first time, Shikamaru spoke and gestured his hand around their surroundings. The rest of the group followed Shikamaru's hand and saw several students looked at them and whispering to each other. Naruto just laughed wryly at this and motioned the rest to head towards the school campus while ignoring the other students. Since when did they stop by and started staring at us? Fu asked to no one in particular. Since Naruto started talking about school, troublesome blonde. It's plainly obvious that they'll stare at us because we're new in here. Shikamaru lazily answered her question. You know, I'm really surprised that you ended up attending school too, Shika. Shuko dryly commented at Shikamaru's attitude. Troublesome woman. Shikamaru sighed and ignored the chuckles that came from the rest of the group. The Pimon group continued to head towards the school building in a leisurely manner. The other students around them stole glances from time to time and started to talk about them, which they all knew what they said because of their enhanced hearing as a devil, which the students didn't know about. The other students continued their gossiping while Naruto and the gang just hid their respective reactions at their words. As they entered the school building, Naruto sighed and decided to break the group's silence. Guys, just forget what those people said about us. We still need to search our respective classrooms, which none of us don't know at all, Naruto sheepishly said while rubbing the back of his head. But Naruto-kun, Shuko protested but stopped when the school bell rang. The students head towards their respective classes while Naruto and the gang just waited for them to be gone. So, let's search where our classes will be. Since today is our first day, the teachers won't mind us being late, Naruto said to the group and sorted themselves out. Shuko and Yakumo were first-year students, Fu and Genevieve were second years, and Naruto, Vivian, Hinata and Shikamaru were third years. Good luck, guys, don't start any trouble, huh? Naruto teased the two duo who weren't on the same year as them. Blee! I think you're the one who will definitely cause some problems first, Naruto-kun. Yakumo shot back at him playfully and started running off, which followed by Shuko. Wait for me, Yaku! Shuko shouted at the energetic Yakumo, but her plea was not heard. The group just laughed at Shuko's misfortune and parted ways just like they planned. Naruto, Vivian, Hinata and Shikamaru walked in the school hallway silently until Naruto broke the ice again. Do you think we'll be on the same class? Naruto asked his companions, who just stared at him awkwardly. Troublesome blonde, did you even read your registration form? Shikamaru deadpanned at him. You can see it here? Naruto exclaimed and hurriedly checked his papers. His actions earned a tired sigh from Shikamaru and chuckles from Hinata and Vivian. So, what class you'll be in? Vivian curiously asked Naruto, who was scrutinizing his papers. Class 3A. What about you guys? Naruto asked the three, which gained different reactions at them. Vivian grinned and pumped her fist, which confused Naruto. Hinata sighed with a hint of disappointment showing on her face. And Shikamaru just yawned and lazily dozing himself off, as usual. Judging from your faces, Vivian-chan is definitely the same class with me, and you two are on the different class. Naruto deadpanned at the three, who nodded back at him. Damn that crimson-haired sis-con. Why didn't he put us four on the same class? Naruto mumbled as he started to walk again. As the four reached the hallways where the third-year classes were, they stopped and looked at each other before parting their ways without saying anything. Naruto and Vivian walked towards the door of room of 3A. Naruto stared at the door and knocked on it a little bit loud, which made Vivian laugh at him softly. The two waited for a minute or two before the door was opened by a middle-aged man. Yes? How may I help you? The teacher politely asked the two, who straightened themselves out. The teacher gazed at Naruto and Vivian and realized that the two was wearing the school uniform. Oh, I'm sorry. You two must be the transfer students that the principal was talking about. Please come inside and introduce yourselves to the class. By the way, I'm Takahiro Hasegawa. You can call me Hasegawa-sensei or Takahiro-sensei, understood? The teacher told the two and motioned to enter the room. Naruto and Vivian nodded and entered the room. And what they saw shocked and scared Naruto but made Vivian almost laugh out loud at Naruto's expression. Class 3A students was all girls, And now, Naruto was the only male in the class, and that's not all. Right now, Naruto was staring at 4 particular students in the class, which made him both happy and a little bit scared. Tsubaki, Sona, Akino and Rias were staring at him, who was clearly not surprised at their presence in the class. Class, we have 2 new students that will be joining our class. The teacher pointed at an expressionless Naruto and a smiling Vivian. Now if you 2 would please introduce yourselves to the class, the teacher said while looking at the 2. Hello everyone, my name is Vivian Pendragon. Just call me Vivian, no suffixes or nicknames because I'm not used to it. I hope we get along. Vivian introduced herself with a bow and nudged Naruto, who seemed to be daydreaming. Naruto snapped his head and stared at the grinning Vivian, who was gesturing him that it was his turn to introduce himself to the class. Sighing, Naruto looked at his classmates, who were staring at him with anticipation and excitement in their faces. Save for the 4 devils, which looking at him with amused eyes. Yahem. Yo, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet ya. Naruto flashed his signature fox-like grin while rubbing the back of his neck. He tried to make his introduction lame as possible for not to attract the girls in his class who were staring at him in a disturbing way. A minute of silence passed and Naruto was about to thank whatever deities helped him. He was snapped back to reality when the girls squealed and screamed some things that sent shivers down to his spine. Kaya! He's so cute with those whiskers of his. And his bright blue eyes. They're so beautiful. I want him to be my boyfriend. And many things that you can imagine that fangirls screamed. But 5 people in the room were clearly confused and curious of what Naruto said in his introduction. Uzumaki? From where did he get that? The 5 female devils thought at the same time, not knowing where did Naruto get his family name. Calm down class, do you have any questions to Naruto and Vivian here? The teacher calmed the girls down and asked the class a question before starting the class again. The girl in the front row seat immediately raised her hand before everyone else does it. The teacher motioned her to stand and asked her question towards Naruto and Vivian, who stared at the girl. Do you have a girlfriend, Naruto-san? The girl shyly asked the blonde. Her question earned some squeals of anticipation from her fellow classmates, a glare from Vivian which she bravely ignored, and as for Naruto, he blinked several times before comprehending what did the girl asked. Naruto closed his eyes and acted like he was in a deep thought, which made the girls silent and wait for him with anticipation. Tsubaki and Akino noticed that even Sona and Rias were curious of what will Naruto's answer will be. Naruto opened his eyes slowly and began to speak. Eh? A girlfriend, huh? No. I don't have a girlfriend. Naruto sheepishly answered the question, which made the class a little bit noisy for his liking. Vivian, on the other hand, made a tired sigh and looked at the fellow devils in the room who had unreadable expressions. Okay class, that's enough. You can ask Uzumaki-san your questions later during your break time. We're already short on time, so let's start again our class immediately. The teacher sternly reprimanded the class that made them shut their mouths up. And you two, please sit at the vacant seats behind Shitori-san. The teacher said to Naruto and Vivian, who just nodded and walked towards the mentioned seats. Rias and Sona were a little bit happy that Naruto was their classmate and assigned near their seats, but they didn't show it in their faces. But the 2 girls didn't know that their normal school life will come to an end because of the Pimon group's admittance in the school. Flashback ends. And for the past few days, Kuoh Academy's peacefulness was shattered by Naruto and the company. Things like a certain red-haired first-year student declaring that she was the soon-to-be wife of a certain blonde senpai of hers, which made the girls of Kuoh Academy believed her bold statement. The other students believed her declaration because they always saw them walking towards the school together. The new teacher, despite of her cold and strict personality, was adored by students and even formed a secret fan club for her. And the most troublesome thing that happened was the rumors that the blonde transferee was an old acquaintance, or something more, of the 4 most popular females of the school. Since they saw him talking with each with familiarity, and even joined the club of one of the females mentioned. But these things were superficial to Naruto's group because for them, these things weren't worth their time, and the group, with an exception of Shikamaru, didn't have any experience in a normal school and thought of it as a normal thing. And right now, Naruto and Shikamaru were lying down on the school's rooftop and staring at the afternoon sky and watching the clouds as they drift by. Hey Shika, do you think it's time we go to the clubroom? I think the others were already there. Naruto asked his companion. Troublesome club. I think it is already time. Shikamaru yawned and stood up. Haha. I know. But the club was really necessary for us. Naruto laughed and stood up while stretching up his body. Troublesome blonde, let's go. I don't want to be scolded again by that troublesome woman for being late. Shikamaru sighed and started to walk. Naruto was now sweating profusely after he heard Shikamaru's words. Sure, Noella was her queen, but he didn't want to hear one of her lectures again. Noella-chan, huh? Let's go. I don't want to hear her scolding again. Naruto hurriedly walked and motioned Shikamaru to walk faster. Troublesome blonde. Shikamaru sighed and started to follow Naruto. In the Occult Research Club. The members of the Occult Research Club and the Student Council were now staring at their respective club presidents who were exchanging words that you can hear when you saw two rivals were talking. It all started when the Gremory group were talking of getting Issei and Asia their familiars in the familiar forest, and the Pimon group just do whatever they want. Like playing cards and board games. And suddenly, they got an unexpected visit from the Citri group. Sona told Rias that she was planning to get her peerage a familiar. But the familiar master only accepts single devil family per full moon. So the two kings were talking things out if you will be the first one to go to the familiar forest. You know, we could always make a friendly competition of it, Sona. Rias said to Sona with a faint smile. You can't mean a rating game? Not with your special circumstances. Sona replied in a low voice. Of course not. We'll settle this like a normal high school students through sports. Rias clarified quickly with a smile. The ball tournament. Sona smiled of Rias' idea. But their conversation was cut off when the door suddenly burst open, revealing a sheepish-looking Naruto and the usual Shikamaru. Hey guys, sorry for being late. We got lost in the roads of life. Naruto apologized with his lame excuse, which made everyone's sweat drop. Troublesome blonde. Who would believe with that lame excuse? Shikamaru muttered under his breath, then yawned. Hey, what's with that reaction? Was my excuse really that lame? Naruto whined and looked around the room. It was really lame. Not even a child would believe that. Vivian shot back at Naruto with half-opened eyes. Such cold words, Vivian-chan. Naruto cried childishly and held his chest like he was really hurt. Stop being childish, Naruto. We were just talking about getting the new members of our group a familiar since the night of the full moon is near. Are you planning to go there too? Sona sighed and asked the blonde, who's still acting like a child. Huh? Familiars? You're planning to get your peerage a familiar in the familiar forest? Naruto straightened himself and looked around the occupants of the room. Yeah. Since they already gotten a few contracts, we think it's already time for them to have their own familiars. Rias replied while she crossed her arms and looked at Sona. Familiars, huh? Now that I think about it, Shika, Shuko-chan and Hinata-chan don't have one yet. Naruto mumbled while doing a thinking pose. But Naruto-kun, you know that only one devil family is allowed to enter the familiar forest, right? Hinata reminded Naruto, who's still in deep thoughts. Then we could join the ball tournament and win it. I want to have my own familiar too. It's unfair that the Ice Witch and Shorty have their own. Shuko exclaimed and glared at Noella and Vivian, who returned her glare with the same intensity. What did you just say, you flea bag? Vivian shot back and faced the red-haired Kyubi. Vivian, please calm down. We are currently at the presence of other people here. And Shuko, please don't provoke Noella and Vivian. You don't want the others think that Naruto-sama's peerage is undisciplined, right? Genevieve intervened at them with a calm and yet cold voice. Her words made the two stop after the both of them saw her face. Genevieve was smiling sweetly. Too sweet for them. The other occupants of the room gulped silently at the cold tone she used and her current expression, with the exception of Naruto, who was still in his world. Even the energetic Shuko shut her mouth up at seeing her, since she knew that Genevieve wasn't joking when it comes to anything that may affect Naruto in any ways. Now I remember. Naruto exclaimed and broke the tense atmosphere in the room, which made them sigh in relief. You remember what? That Genevieve-san is scary, Naruto-kun? Fu asked Naruto with her usual cheerfulness. Jin-chan? Scary? Since when? Naruto dumbly asked the rest of them in the room, which stared at him blankly. Then he looked at the girl in question, who looked back at him with her usual demeanor. What's with this atmosphere? Issei, Asia, Saji, what was Fu-chan asked about? Never mind. I remember the gift that Lucifer-sama gave to me. Naruto quickly changed the topic and ignored the various looks that directed to him. Ni-sama? What did he give to you? Rias asked curiously, since she didn't hear anything about it. It was just a right to enter the familiar forest. I can bring anyone that I want, and when I will go there. Now to think of it, it's been a long time since I last went there. Naruto said without knowing his statement's importance was, and now he had a thoughtful expression. What? Everyone in the room, with the exception of Shikamaru, who was dozing himself off, and Noella, who kept her usual stoic face, exclaimed and looked at Naruto with wide eyes. What the? Why did you shout at the same time? And what's with those looks? Is there something on my face? Naruto looked at his surroundings with half-lidded eyes. You know, you have the solution of our problem here about going to the familiar forest, and you didn't say it immediately, Sona said to Naruto with a tired look on her face. Oh, I just want to mess with you guys. Since all of you are always so serious, especially you, Sotan. Naruto grinned and chuckled as he saw the facial expressions of the people of the room. I already told you many times that stop calling me that. Sona reprimanded Naruto, who just ignored her. The occupants of the room giggled at the futile attempt of Sona stopping Naruto from calling her Sotan. So, we're gonna get ourselves our own familiars now? Shiko asked with excitement, which made Naruto smile at her. Of course, but first Rias, Sona, let me ask you a question. An unusual serious Naruto asked the two, which made them shocked at Naruto's sudden change. The other occupants of the room tensed at Naruto's sudden change because this was the first time they saw Naruto like this. Even his peerage focused their attention since they knew that only in important times their king was serious. Sona and Rias just nodded at Naruto, who was staring at them with serious eyes. Do you have any plans this whole afternoon? Naruto asked with the same manner, then looked around the occupants of the room. No. We just plan to get Issei and Asia their familiars. I think it's the same with Sona, right? Rias replied and looked at Sona for confirmation, which nodded her head. Rias is right, since we already finished our work for today in the student council. We don't have any plans for the whole day. Why? Sona asked Naruto, who closed his eyes and like pondering something. Well, if that's the case, let's go to the familiar forest now. An enthusiastic shout came from Naruto, broke the atmosphere. As they were about to react, the bright light of the teleportation circle on the floor blinded them. And when the light died down, they were now in the middle of a forest like the one you can see in the horror films. The trees were unusually large, the sky was blood red, and they can hear some noises from unknown creatures. What the hell? Where are we? Issei exclaimed at the sudden change of his surroundings. Naruto! You should have warned us that you'll bring us here. You scared the others at your sudden action. Sona shouted at the blonde, who was looking at the tallest landscape in the area. Ha! I should have known that you'll do something like this, Naruto. Shiko laughed at Naruto's sudden action. Ano, where are we, Bucho? Asia timidly asked Rias as she clung to Issei's arm. We are now in the familiar forest. Rias sighed and glared at Naruto, who still looking at the landscape. What? Everyone exclaimed with wide eyes at Rias' words. But how did Naruto-san bring us here immediately? Tsubaki, the vice president of student council, voiced out her confusion. Everyone looked at the blonde, who was at a trance, but their attention was averted when Noella coughed. If you're asking of how Naruto-kun transported us here suddenly without any preparation, I'll explain it, Noella said as she looked at the Citri and Gremory group. Please do, Noella-sensei. Rias politely requested her. You do that, Noella-san. Me, Shikamaru-san and Shiko-san will look around this area to check if there's anyone here. While we're at it, we'll search for ideal familiars for us. Fu-san, Vivan-san and Genevieve-san will be here with you and try to shake off Naruto-kun in his trance. Hinata smiled and gestured Shikamaru and Shiko to follow her. Fu, Vivan, and Genevieve walked towards Naruto. Noella just nodded at Hinata and faced everyone who was looking at her with expectant eyes. Especially Rias, Sona, Akino and Tsubaki, since they knew that casting a transportation magic like what Naruto just did was still unheard of. What Naruto-kun did was his own version of teleportation magic. He managed to shorten the time for it to be activated, and he made it easier to cast the spell. But the consumption of the spell increased, so he can't do it repeatedly, especially since he transported many people at once. Noella explained to the group. The others were confused and didn't know what Noella's explanation was, but Rias, Sona, Akino and Tsubaki were now gaping like a fish since they knew what Naruto really did to create such useful yet complicated spell. You mean he recreated the transportation spell into his own liking? Rias exclaimed with pure disbelief. Yes. When we first met, he was already studying and experimenting on it in order to create the spells that he wanted. I helped him with it, and after a year, we managed to complete it. Though what he used was only a failure in one of his experiments. Noella shrugged and walked towards Naruto. Bucho, what did Noella-sensei say? Is it really surprising that Naruto-senpai made his own spells? A confused Issei asked to Rias. No, making your own spells are easy if what you plan to make are simple spells. But teleportation spells are one of the difficult ones. Even up to now, no one managed to create an instant teleportation spell because of its complexity. Akino answered Issei's question seriously. But what Naruto-senpai did wasn't an instant teleportation, right? It was just like an ordinary transportation spell, but he cast it immediately. Saji joined the conversation. You're right, Saji. But didn't you hear what Noella-sensei said? What Naruto used was only a failure of what he really wanted to create. If that transportation spell was only a failure, I don't know what kind of spells were the completed one. Sona said in a low voice to Saji. Hearing Sona's words, the others now understood what Noella's words meant and were shocked by it. Ouch! What was that for, Vivan-chan? Naruto shouted while massaging his red cheeks. You were ignoring us right after we arrived here. You were staring at that mountain since we got here and not even bothering about your surroundings, you idiot! Vivan shot back angrily at Naruto. Sorry. I just remembered some old memories when we arrived here. Oh hey Ria-tan, So-tan. Did you like my present? Naruto waved cheerfully at the two who stared at him with blank faces. Welcome to the familiar forest. I'm Satuji, a devil in training to be a familiar master. A middle-aged man suddenly appeared out of nowhere and greeted the group. You're late, Satuji. Naruto smirked and faced the now-named Satuji. Oh, and here I thought it was somebody else. How's it going, brat? Satuji shrugged like without a care in the world. TSK, still calling me that, huh? I take it that Lucifer-sama told you that I can bring some company, right? Naruto ignored his remark and got straight to the business. Yeah, but to think that you'll bring the Gremory and Citri heiresses with their peerage. So, are you gonna visit her today? Satuji seriously asked Naruto, who just chuckled at his words. Yup. Since it's been a year since the last time I saw her. Can you help some of them in finding their familiars? A grinning Naruto asked Satuji, who just sighed at him. Sure. Just take care of yourself, brat. I don't want this forest only to be destroyed when you make her angry. Satuji laughed, but his eyes were dead serious. Haha. I know. Noella-chan, please help those three to get their own familiars. And Rias, Sona, I'm gonna visit somebody important. So see you later. Naruto immediately unfurled his wings and flew off to the tallest mountain of the forest. Did that just happen? Issei exclaimed at Naruto's sudden leave. Yes, I see, it just happened. Though I wonder why Naruto talked to the familiar master with familiarity, and what he'll do. Rias sighed and rubbed her temples. He did it too when he brought me here to get my familiar. It seems that he always visits her every time he's here. Noella told her own experience of Naruto's action. Her? Who's her? Sona asked Noella seriously. That I don't know. Let's ask the familiar master if he knows who she is. Noella replied and walked towards the familiar master, who was looking at Naruto's faraway figure. Sensing the others who were walking towards him, the familiar master snapped out of his thoughts and looked at the incoming group. Oh, so who will be the ones that's searching for their familiars? So, what type of familiar do you desire? A strong one? Or a fast one? Satuji asked the group with a smile. Ruruko, Tomo, Tsubasa and Saji, tell the familiar master of what familiar you wish to catch. Sona told her peerage and looked at Rias. Asia, I see, do the same. We'll help you find your familiars. Rias told Issei and Asia, who nodded in return. Hey old man. What is the strongest familiar that I can get here? Vivan asked the familiar master. Oh? Someone is interested with the strongest familiar? Sorry Missy, but someone already made a contract with her. So she's currently out of your reach. Satuji smirked at Vivan, who was gaping at Satuji's answer. The strongest familiar is a female? Everyone was shocked by Satuji's revelation. Of course. She's the only female among the 5 great dragon kings. Known as the Chaos Karma Dragon, none other than Tiamat. Satuji proudly dropped the bomb. A dragon king? Who in their right mind would make her as their familiar? She would definitely kill them even before making the contract. Rias yelled at Satuji. Rias is right, Satuji-san. Tiamat was known as the strongest of the 5 dragon kings. Who would challenge her just for a familiar contract? Sona added to Rias' outburst. So you don't know, huh? He's with you just earlier, you know. Satuji shrugged and ignored the looks that he got from everyone. Why you see can't mean? Sona and Rias stuttered at the same time, while the others' faces were one of pure shock and disbelief. Yeah, that brat. I don't know how he did it, but he made her his familiar. I think he made the contract 3 years ago. Citri confirmed their thoughts. Now everyone was utterly shocked at Citri's words. Someone so young managed to form a familiar contract to a Dragon King, and the strongest one at that. Ha! I really didn't make a mistake to follow Naruto. To think he made Tiamat, the Chaos Karma Dragon, as his familiar. Vivian laughed loudly. He's really full of surprises, huh, Genevieve-chan? Fu looked at Genevieve, who was still shocked at Citri's revelation. I know, Fu. I'm really glad that I met him. Genevieve smiled. To think that he made the strongest Dragon King as his familiar. He's really unpredictable. Sona sighed tiredly and made a small smile. As Rias was about to voice out her thoughts, a large black lightning suddenly struck the tallest mountain, making some of them yelp at its intensity. A black lightning? Akino's eyes went wide of what she just saw. As a lightning user herself, she couldn't help but to wonder who possessed the ability to wield a jet black lightning. But their thoughts were suddenly stopped when a loud roar echoed throughout the whole forest. The different creatures in their surroundings panicked after they heard the roar, which followed by flashes of jet black lightning and its thunder. What the hell is he doing? Vivian shouted at Noella, who wore a worried expression on her face. Damn that brat. What the hell is he thinking? Citri shouted in frustration. And everyone looked at the place where Naruto went and were shocked when suddenly a large blue western dragon flew up in the sky. Is that? Rias stuttered and pointed at the dragon in the sky. That's Tiamat. But why the hell are those two fighting? Citri yelled and asked everyone who looked at him with a look that said, "That's we want to know too." Tiamat opened her mouth and shot a large ball of blue flames at the place where she was earlier from. Boom! A loud explosion echoed in the whole area, which obliterated the most of the mountain. The grounds of the familiar forest shook because of its intensity, and many creatures were now panicking at the sudden tremor. Sona and Rias cried, thinking that the blonde was killed by Tiamat's attack. What in the world was that? Everyone's attention was averted when they saw Shuko, Hinata, and Shikamaru came back to them. As they was about to answer, they were interrupted when a figure flew out from the area where Tiamat's attack hit. They sighed in relief when they saw it was Naruto, who just stopped flying and faced Tiamat. Are they really gonna fight each other? Rias asked to no one in particular. What the hell? We just leave you guys for a bit and now, Naruto is fighting a dragon? Shuko yelled at Noella, who kept her eyes at Naruto's figure. We all don't know why he's fighting her. We were shocked too when suddenly, Naruto-kun attacked the mountain with his lightnings. Noella shot back at Shuko. Shuko was about to retort, but she shut her mouth when she saw the others' faces. They were all confused and afraid of what will happen to Naruto. I don't know what you guys planning to do, but I'm going to help Naruto. Shuko was about to unfurl her wings but suddenly stopped as she felt a powerful spike of demonic power washed over the area. Is that really Naruto? Rias stuttered, not believing the power that her childhood friend was emitting. I think so too, Rias. Sona answered in disbelief as she felt the pressure of Naruto's demonic power for the first time. The power that their childhood friend had showing should not be possible to achieve at their age. But as she thought of it, she couldn't help but to grimace as she knew the reason why Naruto pushed himself to reach what he was now. And they focused their attention again when they saw Naruto raised one of his hands above his head and materialized a jet black thunderbolt. Its size was getting bigger every second until it was nearly the size of a 10-wheeler truck. They were shocked when suddenly, Naruto threw it to Tiamat, who just opened her mouth and fired a ball of blue flames again, but this time, it was twice as large as the first one. Everyone held their breaths and waited for the outcome when two strong attacks collide. But what they saw made them fear the worst for Naruto. Naruto's jet black lightning was destroyed by Tiamat's flames easily, and it continued to soar towards Naruto. As they watched Tiamat's attack getting closer to Naruto, the blonde devil did something unexpected. He put his two hands forward and a large magic circle appeared in front of him. The others thought of it as a defensive barrier, and were doubting if it was enough for Naruto to defend himself from the attack. But the Pimon group sighed in relief, for they knew it was one of Naruto's techniques. And the moment that they all waited for happened. But the Citri group, Gremory group, and Citri were shocked when the gigantic ball of blue flame stopped right in front of the barrier, and being sucked slowly into it. After a few seconds, Tiamat's attack was gone without the trace. No way! How and Issei exclaimed, but his words were stopped when Naruto raised one of his hands and pointed to the sky. They all looked at the place where Naruto was pointing and were shocked when Tiamat's attack exploded high above the skies. What the hell? What did Naruto-senpai do? Issei exclaimed in confusion, not comprehending the scene that just played out. I think we should ask his peerage, seeing that they didn't panic when Tiamat's attack was about to hit Naruto. Sona said and looked at the Pimon group, who still kept their attention at their king. You can ask your questions later. But right now, we're gonna help that idiot to clean up the mess he got into, Vivian said and looked at her group, who nodded at her. As the Pimon group was about to unfurl their wings, they were stopped by a bright blue light that came from Tiamat's body. Thinking of it as an attack, they all tensed and were about to fly as fast as they can, but seeing their king relaxed, they looked at each other and waited for what will happen next. After a few seconds, the bright light died down, and all of them were shocked to see what they saw. Instead of a large blue western dragon that they saw earlier, what they were seeing now was a blue-haired woman with a slime figure and a pair of blue dragonic wings on her back. What's happening? Vivian stuttered with confusion on her voice. I don't know. Maybe she changed her form to fight Naruto better at her human form. Genevieve voiced out her own conclusion. Now is not the time to wonder about that. Let's go and help Naruto-kun now, Yakumo urgently said and unfurled her wings and flew up. But she stopped in her tracks when Tiamat in her human form flew straight towards Naruto and tackled the blonde with a hug. What the hell? A dumbfounded Vivian blurted of what she just witnessed. Everyone was thinking the same thing on the scene just played out in their eyes. Meanwhile, with Naruto. TNA! An embarrassed Naruto shouted and returned the hug that he received from a blue-haired woman. Hey! You really got stronger compared to the last time we saw each other, Nakuen. You really surprised me of your growth. Tiamat praised Naruto and released him from the hug. Of course I am, TNA. I don't want the others think that you have a weak master, can I? Naruto smirked and crossed his arms on his chest. Don't be so proud of it. You still have a long way to go before you can fight me head-on, you know. Tiamat narrowed her blue eyes. I know, TNA. You just shrugged off my lightning attacks earlier and destroyed the strongest thunderbolt that I conjured with your attack. And don't get me started that you fought me with less than 10% of your power. Naruto sighed and looked at Tiamat with a discouraged face. It's only obvious that you still can't win against me, Nakuen. Maybe after 20 years or 50 years from now, you can if you keep getting stronger at this rate. Tiamat comforted the blonde, who smiled at her. I think now is the time we join your friends, Nakuen. After the little show we just made, I think they're worried sick. And from what I sensed earlier, one of your friends is Drake's host, right? I can't wait to meet that red bastard again. Tiamat chuckled darkly, which made Naruto shiver a bit and pitted Issei for a second. He knew that Tiamat hated the two heavenly dragons, but the reason was unknown to him. He tried asking her in the past about it, but she dodged the question every time. Seeing Naruto was daydreaming, Tiamat sighed and took one of his hands and flew as fast as she can towards the group of devils that she sensed. Dash! Naruto cried out at the sudden action of Tiamat. Ha ha ha. And here we are! Tiamat laughed and slowed down. She and a dizzy Naruto hovered down slowly and landed safely. Well, for Tiamat that is. Naruto on the other hand stumbled and collapsed on the ground and groaned at the unexpected flow of actions of Tiamat. Ha ha ha. Get up there, Nakuen, and introduce me to your friends. Especially with Drake-chan. Tiamat ignored the dumbfounded look she got from everyone and helped Naruto to stand up. Okay. Geez, you can't really wait, huh, TNA? Naruto sighed and rubbed his hair while looking at Tiamat, smiling sheepishly at him. Naruto looked at the Gremory and Citri group along with his peerage, who were all wearing the same expression on their faces. A mixture of shock and confusion, which made Naruto laugh inside his head at the look of their faces. As for Satoji? Well, he was looking at Naruto with a tired look at saying, I'm too old for your shits. It made the blonde having a hard time preventing his laughter to escape from his lips. Hi guys. I'm gonna introduce someone important to ya. Naruto cheerfully greeted the dumbfounded group, which returned to reality after hearing his voice. You know what? Screw it. Just be done with so that we can finish what we came for and go back home. I'm so damn tired for worrying for a certain someone who fought a dragon, and a dragon king at that. And at the end, those two are now acting like siblings and like nothing happened. Vivian snapped and glared at Naruto and Tiamat, who was exchanging glances after hearing her outburst. The others on the other hand looked at her with pity, for they too were worried at the blonde, even they only met him a week ago. Whoa, Nakuen. You sure made some good friends. Tiamat said and smiled at Vivian, who glared at her, which she just shrugged off. Hey. Sorry for worrying you guys. TNA wanted to test me of how strong I am now. Anyway, I'll formally introduce to you guys my familiar and my surrogate sister, Tiamat, also known as the Chaos Karma Dragon and the strongest of the 5 Dragon Kings. Naruto formally introduced Tiamat, who smiled at the silent group and waiting for their reaction. What? Even if she's a dragon doesn't mean she don't do these things for fun. Sister? Everyone shouted in disbelief of what they just heard. That's right. But the story about it will be told for the another time since we still have things to do, just what Vivian-chan said earlier. Naruto cheerfully said and looked at Tiamat, who's staring at Issei and Saji. Well, it was more on Issei actually. Why hello Draig-chan. From what I can sense, you're still not awakened, huh? But it's fine because I know that you can hear me loud and clear. Tiamat stopped her words when she saw Issei clutched his left hand that was now covered with red dragon scales with a green gem on the back of his hand. Oh ho? Getting feisty, aren't we? Consider yourself lucky this time, you bastard. Tiamat was now surrounded with a black aura which caused the group to gulp and shivered in fear at her appearance. If your host right now isn't Nakuin's friend, I already killed him the moment he arrived in this forest. Tiamat finished her words after releasing a bit of her killing intent, which made them held their breaths for a second at its intensity. And suddenly she turned her gaze to Saji, who stood still in fear under Tiamat's dark blue eyes. And imagine my surprise that the portion of Vitra is here too. The world is sure a small place, Tiamat said in a sing-song voice. Geez, TNA. You're scaring them. Besides, is it really okay for you to be here any longer? Not that I mind though. But wasn't your home was destroyed at our little fight earlier? And you already received what you wanted me to get for you. Naruto reminded the blue-haired woman, who gasped loudly after hearing his words. You're right, Nakuin. Thanks for reminding me about that. I still have to fix my home after our sweet little reunion. Tiamat unfurled her dragon wings and tiptoed towards Naruto. Seeing the confused face of the blonde, it made her laugh softly and planted a quick kiss on her cheeks, which made Naruto blush. TNA! What was that? A blushing Naruto shouted at Tiamat, who was now flying away at them. Fufufa. You're so cute when you're like that, Nakuin. I guess some things don't change after all. Take care, my little maelstrom. Tiamat's voice echoed throughout the forest as her figure slowly disappeared at the horizon. You too, Nei-san. Naruto smiled softly and looked at the group he was with. He was greeted with the dumbfounded looks from the Citri and Gremory group, but his peerage, with the exception of Shikamaru, was glaring at him. Sorry for all the trouble I just caused. Naruto bowed down at the group, who sighed loudly at him, which made him chuckle. Who was that Narukuin? Why did you call her Nei-san? Why did you fight earlier? Then she hugged you. Then she held your hand, and last but not the least, she kissed you. An enraged Shuko was now walking slowly towards Naruto, who gulped at the incoming danger. She is Tiamat, the Chaos Karma Dragon and one of the 5 great Dragon Kings and the strongest of them all. As for why I called her Nei-san, she became my elder sister figure after I met her when I was 10 years old when Dad brought me here. As for how I met her, I got lost and ended up at her resting place.